Folks, welcome. If this holds what I was planning on doing, you just heard Tamara Judge from Real Housewives of Orange County. That actually happened, and I'll talk more about that experience on Saturday when I do the Real Housewives of Orange County recap of this week's episode. But I hope you enjoyed it. Man, that was I got up at like 6:30 in the morning to do that interview, and I thought I was still, in some sort of weird, bizarre dreamland during that entire interview, and then Eddie was there, and then I think Brynn from Real Housewives of New York was there, so all around, very bizarre. But she brings up something in that interview that I've talked about time and time and time again, what we don't see off camera, and what I always say is that's all well and good. I'm sure there are so many things that explain certain types of behavior, but what matters is what's on this show, what we see. What story are these producers trying to tell us? Because once you factor in all of these other things, it becomes so muddled and confusing. And sometimes you're like, well, I don't know. I don't know what to believe here. I know what I'm seeing. I know the patterns that I keep seeing season after season. And I'm sure there's all of these things that are happening off camera, but I would fight tooth and nail, I would think, to make sure that everything is out there on the dance floor, that everything is spoken about. I wouldn't want anything twisted. Every scene I would just go into going, hey, before I start this scene, I just want to let everybody know this happened before. I mean, I would bring it up in the weirdest places. I would do something really dramatic and then throw something in of like, also, this is what you didn't see off camera, and just throw it in there, hoping that they wouldn't, something really intense that they wouldn't be able to cut around it. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. But we're gonna do it all over again right now in going into the second episode of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, season five. You guys, this was another really bizarre episode. It didn't have the high highs. I mean, it had a lot of little pieces of bizarre behavior that culminated in another fight, which all of that's like kind of went towards Whitney again. And I'm telling you, if you keep going against Whitney, you're only going to make her stronger. I mean, I know people think I'm crazy for that, but that's usually the pattern. If everybody starts ganging up on one person, you those tides shift. I don't know, man. Heather Gay, I can't make heads or tails of yet this season, except that she is so overtly paranoid and wants us to know it, of somebody else infiltrating this group. And if it was a tight group of friends, I might be more willing to go there with her. But these people all badmouth each other every episode. What do you mean? They're like, we can't let anybody infiltrate this sisterhood of the traveling pants. We can't let it happen. We've got a sisterhood. No, you literally rip each other apart episode after episode. It just depends on who you're in the scene with. So being paranoid about somebody new talking bad about somebody else, I don't know if I necessarily fully buy that. And I think Heather knows she's in the driver's seat more than she ever lets on. Because, like I always say, there is that reliable narrator. That there's a role in that in every season of every Housewives franchise. And I believe that Heather is that reliable narrator, or at least wants to be the reliable narrator. And I think after the end of last season, really kind of took that mantle. Now, there's a couple things about Salt Lake City just already in production that's confusing me. They're doing an amazing job in so many areas, and I wish more people were watching it. I just saw the ratings from this week, and it was slightly higher than last week, but just slightly. So this doesn't seem to be a same day viewing show, and everybody's catching up with it throughout the week potentially. And I hope that changes. But like I keep saying, there's so many things on TV on Wednesday night. You got Survivor, you got The Golden Bachelorette, you got everything that's streaming on Netflix and Hulu and Peacock. And we're just going to be streaming and watching shows until we leave this mortal coil. And maybe I'm okay with that. But there's a couple of things that confuse me. Now, in one of the title cards, you guys, is where it shows the cast, right? And it's like Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and they're all posing. There's ice. They're holding the little snowflake or whatever it is. And in the cutaway for a couple of the commercial breaks, throughout this episode, Angie Katsunavis, which by the way, this is I'll just get this out of the way. I just don't. I mean, and if you can pass this around, because I do want as many ears or eyes on this show as possible, and I would just love the press. Um, I did uncover this week that she was Greek, and I think that has not been looked into nearly enough. I don't. I don't. I know some of you are so sick of that joke, and I've already run it into the ground, and I'm gonna keep running it into that ground, baby, because she's Greek. So Angie Casanovas was in the middle. They put her in the middle, and I'm like, what does that mean? Because you have to look at everything that they give us as some big piece of a Da Vinci Code, some big mystery. So does that mean Angie Katsunavis is like really big things happen with Angie this season? I mean, we already got the scroll moment. I mean, are there bigger scrolls? Are there bigger props she's going to bring out? So that was confusing because in the promotional imagery, we have Heather Gay as the middle. And I that made sense to me. That made sense to me just after the end of last season that Heather Gay would be in the middle. But then I'm telling you, look at those cutaways that they did in this week's episode. Angie is in the middle. Now, the second weird thing that I've noticed is we are 2 episodes in, and I'm a little out of it, but we still haven't gotten Housewives taglines yet, have we? I mean, what is did Mary not sign off on a housewife tagline? Why is it taking this long to get Housewives taglines in there? I mean, did they refuse to do wha like, I mean, are they that or am I missing I mean, did it already come out and I'm just completely blanking on it? Did I eternal sunshine my mind and just forget these taglines? In fact, they released the Real Housewives of New York taglines today, I believe, and we have those out. That show hasn't even premiered yet, and we already got the taglines for that, which we'll go over on Monday's episode with Sophie Ross, or maybe I'll throw it into OC on Saturday. Um, so those are two things that I noticed right off the bat that kind of very odd to me. They're a little different than what I've noticed. Okay. And like I said, I am a little out of it. I got up super early, worked a lot, and then I went and got my flu shot and my booster shot. So my arm feels like it's gonna fall off, and I have this kind of needling headache that you get when you get like a flu shot. So it's that persistent kind of it's like when Lisa Rinna used to be on Housewives and the voice would just trigger something in me. That's what I'm dealing with. So if I'm a little angrier than usual, if I'm feistier than usual, I apologize in advance. I'm sorry to the ladies of Salt Lake City if I go a little harder. Remember, as we start this journey on the second episode, this is just my take on what I see. I know everybody has their takes. If you are a Salt Lake housewife, please stop listening right now. I am not looking to hurt anybody's feelings. Truly, I don't want to do that. But I also want to be able to speak freely and have fun talking with my friends, you guys. Thank you for all the support this week on the shows. If you haven't, go back and listen. We had Rachel Ivy Young, a comedian from Portland who does the most amazing Lisa Barlow impersonation. I love it so much. She was on Wednesday. We had sisters Aaron and Sarah Foster on today, celebrating their Netflix show Nobody Wants This, which you guys need to check out this weekend. I know I keep blabbing about it, but I truly dig this show. And I was so excited to have them on. So go support that. And of course, Monday with Sarah Heron from Us Weekly. So those were the shows, and you're going to get a lot more this weekend with the OC recap and this. And yeah, I guess just thanks for being here as always. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. I like that I realize at this point that I'm a mix of um, dad jokes, extreme sensitivity, um, potentially annoying laugh, or maybe kind of a nice laugh, depending on if you like laughs or not. Dad joke, da, 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 and just a general inquisitiveness, but also always thinks that I'm doing something wrong. So that's what you're getting, and I think this combination is going to potentially make for a dynamic recap of episode 2 of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Okay, here we go. So this episode is entitled Walking a Tightrope. And, if you hadn't watched the episode, you would think, ooh, oh my gosh, it's got to be about the delicate balance. It has to be a housewife and who you're friends with and who you're enemies with and who's going to win the season. And then you watch the episode and it means just because they did this ropes course at the end of it. Now, the description, I said this last week's episode, and somebody on YouTube was like, who cares about this? I'm like, I care. This is my sad little pathetic life. Let me have this. This is the kind of deep dive digging I do where I'm like, look at what I found. And nobody truly cares, but I do. So if you watch this on Peacock, this is the show description they give us. Lisa and Angie struggle with their friendship. Just one sentence. Lisa and Angie struggle with your friendship. I like always, you gotta be able to welcome new viewers in, new customers in. And I'm sorry, that line's not cutting it for me because I'm not. Lisa and Angie struggle with their friendship. What is this? What is this, therapy? But then if you watch it on DirecTV, this is the show description DirecTV gives us for the same episode. So they give us Lisa and Angie struggle to find a way forward in their friendship. Heather hosts a ropes course. Bronwyn lands in the hot seat when Heather accuses her of being two-faced. Meredith recommits to Judaism. Brittany's relationship irks Mary. Direct TV description for the win. Now it looks like, I mean, I don't know if Peacock, like if you have to pay by the letter over there, and that's why they're like, let's just make it as simple as possible. Because the first sentence is kind of the same, except they cut out the away forward. And then the direct TV one is just hands down a better description. I mean, they even use the word irks, IRKS, irks. What a powerful word. Brittany's relationship irks Mary. So that's what DirecTV gives us way more information about what we're about to see. Now, this episode, like every episode of Salt Lake, starts off with the most intense music. It's like, ding. Like, I swear to God, you think there's a murder every time you turn on an episode of Salt Lake at the beginning. It always reads like the beginning of a date, like a Dateline or a 48-hour murder mystery. It's like, ding. It was a small town with lots of good people, but some not so good. So that music already hits you everywhere where you just get tense. You're like, it scares the bejesus. And then it always goes from that intense to like a choral, like boop, bop, boop, 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 bop, boop, 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 bop, beep, boop, boop, boop. Like it's fun all of a sudden. Hey, it's fun. This is a crazy town, these mean streets of Salt Lake. And we zoom in that Lisa Barlow is in her G Wagon with new cast member Bronwyn, which I think already is having a fantastic season. And Bronwyn has her dog, Freddie, in the car with them. And they're talking about the lights in Lisa Barlow's G Wagon. And Lisa's like, do you want the lights purple to match? And Bronwyn's like, I like the pink lights. The pink lights are very good for Freddie. Freddie, do you want purple lights? She probably does. What did you think of last night, Bronwyn? Okay, well, I was unprepared. And then they share a laugh. Welcome to the Housewives. And Lisa's like, what was happening between you and Brittany? Because remember, Brittany's that other new cast member brought in by Heather that was truly trying to be friendly and sitting down between Mary and Bronwyn and said, hey, nice costumes. And they're like, this is couture, weirdo. Really pissed them off right out of the gate. And I think Brittany just seems like an average, nice person. But Bronwyn explains to Lisa, well, she came in a little hot with me and more so with Mary, I'll tell you. And we flash back to that scene, and Mary Cosby don't mess around with fashion. I almost want to like make Mary Cosby shop at Old Navy just to like see if she could even handle it. Because she would turn up her nose at the amazing fall fashions that Old Navy offers. But also Mary was offended because she thought that Brittany was inferring that she was poor growing up, and she's like, "No, we never had enough growing up. I didn't say we were poor. I didn't say we were growing. No, 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 I wasn't poor, Brittany. I didn't say that." And Brittany's like, "I grew up poor." Brittany even takes it. No, no, I grew up dirt poor. I was shoving rolls in my purse. So Bronwyn says, "Yeah, I knew Mary didn't like that." But that was a lot for me 30 seconds into meeting someone, but actually, I'm still starving from last night. I couldn't eat. And Lisa's like, "Oh my gosh, that was a lot at my Bezos party." And we flash back to the end of that party where Lisa is going at Angie K going, "Did you tell Whitney about our conversation that you had with me and Heather?" And Angie's like, "How dare no, I da. And Lisa's like, "It's not about who says plenty. It's about you repeating what I said. You lied about me." And Whitney going, "I never lied to you, Lisa Barlow." And then Heather jumping in going, "You said that I wrote unauthorized material." And Whitney's like, "Stop." Back in this scene, Bronwyn goes, "I felt like you were right about most of what you were saying, Lisa." And Lisa's like, "Thanks, Bronwyn. That's the correct answer. That was exactly what you should have said in this scene right now. Perfect. We can still be friends." And Bronwyn continues, "Well, I think I was more worried about the fact that I love Angie, but I don't think she was getting that she was helping Whitney as much as she was upsetting you and Heather." And then all of a sudden we hear a ring in Lisa Barlow's G-Wagon. It's like, "Can you hold on for 1 second, Bronwyn? Can you just be quiet for 1 second?" He said, "Can you just shut your yapper for 1 second, please?" And Bronwyn's like, "Yeah, of course. We'll be quiet. Me and Freddie, my dog." So it's Angie calling, and Lisa has her soft, "Hey, Ange." And Angie, very professional, very Greek professional. She's like, "Hey, how's it going, Lisa?" "Good. What's up?" Listen, Lisa, I was wondering if you had some time for me this afternoon. I just wanted to talk to you alone, the 2 of us. You know what? I'm running some errands, but I'll text you as soon as I'm done. Is that cool? And then she just like and Angie pauses and goes, "Yeah. Okay, perfect. All right, bye, Ange." And then hangs up. And Lisa's like, "Oh my god, she didn't even know you were here. Oh my god. Oh my god, that was like stealth. Wow." But Bronwyn looks at Lisa like, "Holy shit, we were just talking about her." And Bronwyn was like, "Were you expecting that?" And Lisa's like, "No, are you kidding me?" And that's when we get the title card where Angie K is in the middle. And this is weird because they use guys, if you're I'm looking at this dead on right now. It's a picture of Heather, which looks like Heather's 3rd season, because you can tell she's definitely lost a little, I mean, lost a bunch of weight since this picture that I'm looking at. Then you got Meredith, then you got Lisa, then you got Angie, then you got Mary, then you got Bronwyn, and then you have Whitney. This is like a Photoshop from hell now that I'm looking at it even more up close. Why didn't they use the press photos that are out there? I mean, there's got to be a deeper mystery. This is going to lead us to the murderer. That's why they're playing this intense music in the beginning every time. Okay, so then we open up after this scene, and we're opening up on the hills and the woods of Salt Lake. It's straight out of The Shining, folks, and it's like this intense drone thought. And, uh, then we pull back and we go to Whitney's house, because remember, Whitney has got a very nice new big house that she is moving in with her family, right? And, Whitney's like, "Can you help us put the books away? Come on, please stop kicking the wall, kids. Please help me out with these books." And her daughter's like, "These are like old people's books, mom." And you just see that it's a bunch of like copies of 50 Shades of Grey and the Hunger Games and the Twilight series. No, not that. But there's a lot of self-help books. And when he's like, "Maybe you can help style and do old people books and new people books." There is one book called Get Your Shit Together that we find out, which I was like, I gotta check that out. And Whitney's like, "Should I have given that book to Lisa?" And then they laugh together as a family, like they all badmouth Lisa Barlow at night as a family. But where wasn't Lisa Barlow? Wasn't it last season when Lisa came over to Whitney's house while Justin was on a work trip? And Lisa started using really like foul language, was like, "Mother beep, 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 beep." And when he was like, "Please, Lisa, I have kids here." Lisa's like, "I'm sorry, I'm just expressing myself. I'm so frustrated right now." But she was like, she she was like Eddie Murphy in Raw. She's like, "Beep, beep, beep. Please, there are kids trying to sleep and they can't handle your cursing, Lisa Barlow." We cut out of that scene. And then we go to Angie K's compound, and she's talking to her husband, and Angie's like, "I felt bad for Whitney last night. I mean, they were all 3 yelling and calling her a liar. I couldn't really get in a word in to support Whitney, but then Lisa felt like I wasn't supporting her. She lunged forward at me at the table, and she got really aggressive." And by the way, her husband likes a baseball cap. So do I. I'm wearing one right now. But this guy, running the biggest hair salon business in Salt Lake City, we got to let those beautiful locks flow, man. What are we hiding here, man? Good looking guy. Let's take that hat off. But her husband's like, it's an intimidation tactic, and you can't allow her to do that. You just can't allow her to do that. And then he's like, I need to tell her how I feel. I need to continue to be more honest with her and see where it goes. And then her husband goes, "Sounds great," and sips his coffee. It reminded me of, in that movie Office Space, the boss was his name Bill with the, "Hey, bud, can we get those TPS reports by 5 o'clock today? That would be great. Yeah, that'd be great." Her hus This conversation is like, it sounds like the beginning of a therapy appointment of like, "What did we decide to work on last week? We're gonna try to say 3 good things that we did each day, and then also, 3 things that we're grateful for." So it's like, "Sounds great. Sounds great, Angie. We'll see you at the next appointment." Then we cut from that scene, so we're doing that round robin, checking in all the housewives, and now we are at Mary Cosby's house. We still really don't have official word where Mary's husband slash grandfather lives. I think he's in Las Vegas, but he's definitely not at this house. I mean, I'm looking at her kitchen, and just in the kitchen alone, this is why we got to get Mary over to Bronwyn's house, because I feel like we could have a real amazing scene about decor. But there's like this big yellow like Voss thing in the background where I was like, oh my God, is the is Mary's husband still with us? Is Mary's husband in this yellow vase? But then behind it, you see these 2 huge glass decanter things just filled with gigantic, gumballs. And, like, Mary Cosby truly is, like, some form of, like, cult-like Willy Wonka type character. Anyways, Mary is talking to somebody that we don't see yet, and she's like, "Oh, last night, somebody was like, 'I'm just trying to relate to you, Mary, because I grew up poor too.'" And we realize she's already talking about Britney, and we find out that she's talking to her son, and her son just like, "She probably think you is," and he's listen, I think we all know what Mary's son is potentially going through, and I think this scene, your kind of imagination wanders and thinks, "Oh, man." So there's not, I usually try to look at these things with, like, a really silly attitude and things that I can riff off of, and, yeah, he's mumbling, he's stuttering, he looks half awake, and, there's not a lot, anyways, that part is sad, but Mary is carrying the scene because, the son mumbles and Mary's like, "Don't ever call me poor," because that's like being ungrateful to God, which I'm like, "Wait, calling me poor is being ungrateful to God?" Does that mean, because we know we've heard certain things about Mary's religion, that Mary isn't Mary kind of considered a god in her religion? Like, or somebody really high up in that God chain, but calling Mary poor is being ungrateful to God. I feel like I might be struck dead right. By the way, if this never gets released and you guys find this audio, just know that God has struck me down because I was being ungrateful to him because I just repeated the words, Mary is poor. But Mary's like, "Oh, forget it. That's another," and the son goes, "That's crazy. That's crazy." And we see Mary's little title card where she's smiling and twirling, and, she's like, "Hey, want some donuts?" She's got these, like, beautiful donuts, and the son just, like, starts eating them out of the box, and Mary's like, "Oh, oh, okay. Not gonna even use a plate? Oh, that's how we're doing it? Oh, okay. Okay, you dug in? Somebody got the munchies." So I think Mary, I don't know if Mary was kind of like, "I know you're, high on the marijuana," and not really, realizing maybe it's potentially deeper than that. In a talking head, Mary says, "Robert is currently at home right now," her son. "He's not in college." Um, "Robert does ask me for money," she says. "And no, he's not working, but I just feel like he's very sheltered, and I feel like that's my fault." And so that's why I don't mind him staying at home. Which Mary's logic, it always starts off, like, completely sound, where you're like, "Okay, yeah, you've nailed it," and then she'll throw in something that doesn't, like you're like, "Oh, that's why he's staying at home? Because ungrateful and okay, doesn't have a job, but okay, okay, got it. Nope, that checks out. Got it." So we end that scene, we then zoom on over to our next location, and that is Lisa Barlow back in that car with Bronwyn. We're in that same car ride from the beginning. And Lisa's like, "How's Gwen doing?" And Gwen is Bronwyn's daughter, and Bronwyn's like, "She's amazing. She wants to open a coffee shop," which is great because Lisa Barlow's son, who's on a mission, loves coffee shops. So if Gwen opens one in Bogota, I mean, that's like two birds, one stone. But anyways, Lisa's like, "I love that idea. I love caffeine." And Bronwyn's like, "It's gonna be so cute. It'll be so stylish." Yes. The whole theme, she knows exactly what she wants to serve. Yeah, coffee. If it's a coffee shop, if it's a coffee shop, then what you serve is already there for coffee. And Lisa, driving in her G-Wagon, says to Freddie, Bronwyn's dog, goes, "Your big sister's amazing, Freddie." And he's like, "You goddamn right she is. Your big sister's Your big sister's doing amazing things out there in the coffee world, Freddie. Are you hearing this? When are you going to shape up, Freddie? When are you going to get off your lazy dog ass and bring some money into Bronwyn's household?" Anyways, they're talking to the dog now, and Bronwyn's like, "She's going to be a coffee connoisseur, isn't she?" Lisa goes, "I've known Bronwyn for years, and I love Bronwyn's daughter, Gwen. She's beautiful, she's smart, she's funny. And, like, I don't know who I like more, Bronwyn or Gwen." So then we pick up Heather Gay, and guess what? We have a product placement because we are doing Wendy's SpawnCon. Wendy's, where you can get a burger. No, but we also know Lisa Barlow has a very intensely close relationship with Wendy's, the fast food restaurant. I enjoyed Wendy's in my day. My dad would sometimes get it on Saturdays, I remember growing up. And I was like, "Oh, wow, we're getting Wendy's today." And you get the Frosty with the fries. It's amazing. And but Lisa, like the product placement with how much is Wendy's paying Lisa Barlow? It's gotta be in the millions at this point. I feel like even at BravoCon, she was sponsored by Wendy's. I remember doing Wendy's taste test of some kind of product that Wendy's had at BravoCon last November. But Lisa's like, "Are you guys ready for some Frosties?" And they do their order, and it's great because they get their order, and then the guy gives them their Diet Cokes, but she gets like three large, like super, like extra large Diet Cokes, like the kind I would get. And then she's like, "I'm sorry, sir. My cup holders only hold two. I need to give this one back." I'm like, imagine being that kind of wealthy where you just give a supersized Diet Coke back. We don't waste Diet Coke in this household. This personally offended me. You make Heather hold on to this Diet Coke. You save this Diet Coke for later. Diet Coke is meant to be respected, it is meant to be cherished, and it's meant to be drank with friends and family. Anyways, we start to get into the main crux of this scene where Lisa is like, "Listen, about last night, about Whitney, I feel like I've given Whitney so much grace. And when she went on the podcast, she had a lot of derogatory things to say about me. I'm like, you're lying about me. I'm defending myself. That's the bottom line." So, guys, don't be worried. We're still arguing over podcasts. Nick Vialli's podcast, still, where Whitney goes, "Of course she's the villain, Lisa Barlow." I still don't believe that Lisa Barlow truly has ever listened to this full episode of the podcast because it really was a long podcast and it was not nearly all about Lisa Barlow as well. And I get like, Lisa, like I've said this week, Lisa is truly one of my favorite housewives. But at the same time, just because somebody's your favorite housewife doesn't mean that you agree with the moves that they make or some of their behavior. It's just that I'm so kind of in awe that Lisa Barlow is so herself And she really comes off that way. But at the same time, you have to assume if she gets so pressed about these little comments from Whitney, that like she is very, very sensitive on the inside and pays attention to everything. I mean, honestly, the way she talks to Whitney throughout these seasons, you would think she would completely write off anything that Whitney has to say the way that she treats Whitney. But no, she is really, truly taken offense to this. Lisa in a talking head continues, I'm so disgusted with Whitney that she would go on a podcast and I'm like, "God, let's not bash podcast. Come on, encourage people to go on podcasts." And then Lisa goes, "And I'm even more disappointed in Angie that she would go behind my back and repeat my feelings to Whitney. Why would you do that? Why would you do that to Lisa Barlow?" Lisa in the car continues, "Angie's very close to Whitney, and that's great, but it changes our dynamic because I don't want anything I say to her just venting or sharing a feeling to be weaponized against me." And Bronwyn goes, "Okay, but you're going to talk to Angie," because she overheard that phone call in the car where they said they were going to meet, right? And Lisa's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna talk to Angie." She asked him if we can meet up. And then Heather's in the middle, like the driver's seat is Lisa, passenger is Bronwyn, and then the shot, we Heather Gay has to like be right in the middle seat of the back seat just for this shot. And Heather chimes in. She goes, "I love Angie. I think that she wants to support Whitney, but it's clear Whitney's messy," which she's admitted. But I also woke up in the middle of the night feeling like, did we totally gang up on Whitney? I needed to have a little think about it. So this is like Heather Gay's sleeping, dreaming of books and power and like how far her life's come. And she gets to know Andy Cohen. And then she's like, oh my God, did we totally gang up on Whitney? And it's like a Home Alone moment. Yeah, Heather. Yeah, you did gang up on Whitney fully. Even if you don't like Whitney, come on, you have to admit that was a gang up. That's the definition of a gang up. And then Bronwyn's like, "Well, it didn't seem like a gang up to me because it felt like the way it kept ratcheting up was Whitney." The whole like, "Do you want to see a healed Whitney?" And then middle finger. I was like, "Did we practice this in the mirror at home?" Like little tears were eking out. I was laughing so hard. I was like, "It's just so trite. I can't." And Heather Gay, we see a shot of Heather Gay, and she clocks very intensely what Bronwyn just said. Like, huh, I just lost the taste for my Wendy's junior bacon cheeseburger. We hear Heather in a voiceover. This is the type of energy that's burned me in the past. And then we get thunder. We get literally a thunderstorm, like thunder clapping, and we get our first shot for this episode of Monica Garcia. This is where Heather Gay has gone wrong in the past. So her antennae are up trying to feel out evil. And Heather's like, and I feel very wary of someone who has such strong, harsh opinions about people that they're just meeting for the first time. Heather, do you realize you literally just explained what the Real Housewives franchise is about? Really strong opinions about people that they have met for the first time. In some cases, some of these people have known each other before, but now in the new era of Housewives, sometimes these people truly don't know each other. So that's what you want from a housewife, having really strong opinions about somebody. But Heather lets us know, she goes, I'm going to reach out to Whitney and see what her take on it all is. This is what you got to love about Housewives, too. They have this intense scene where Whitney has to storm out, and Heather's like, I'll call Whitney and find out where she is. In real life, you would be like, well, won't talk to her for a while. You just are like, well, there's a lot of people in this world. I don't need to talk to her for a very long while. Not in Housewives. And by the way, that's being clocked in. That's doing a good job. You got to keep pushing forward. I just don't know how they do it because if I'm mad at somebody, somebody's mad at me, I don't want to be around them. I don't. No, no, thank you. Okay, so we get some more choral music, and shots of like Salt Lake City downtown. And we wind up at the Salt Lake Culinary Institute. Who could this scene be with? Because we see a G Wagon pull up. We see Meredith Marks, the Bath Queen herself, step out. And guess who it is, folks? It's the one and only Seth Mother effing Marks. What's up, guys? It's me, Seth. It's my first scene of the 5th season. Anybody miss me yet? I'm going to make a boob joke now. He was, like, coming around to open Meredith's door. He's like, "You beat me to it, Meredith. I was gonna come and open your door." And she's like, "Ah, thank you, honey. You're so sweet." And yes, I do realize my Meredith Marks sounds like Bill Murray in Caddyshack. It's not on purpose. It's just with this beautiful voice I have, there's just a certain vocal range that I can work within, and it can't go beyond that. But Meredith's like, "You're so sweet, Seth. You're so sweet." And we have one of, my favorite Housewives activities when they go to a cooking class. We have a private cooking class. We meet Chef Chris, and they are making shakshuka. Shakshuka. The chef goes, "Are you guys excited?" Mary's like, "I'm really excited. I'm really so maybe more than she is." And Chris is like, "You don't like to cook?" And Mary's like, "He doesn't know how." Chris is like, "You're gonna learn today." In a talking head, we find out more about Seth from Meredith. Well, since last year, Seth has got a new position back in Ohio again, this time Columbus. Because remember, he was in Canton, Ohio. I remember that distinctly. I'm out there working in Canton, Ohio, but now he's moved to Columbus. Beautiful Columbus. Now, fun fact I've told you guys before, but I was born in Columbus, Ohio. I spent the first like 6 or 8 months of my life in Columbus, Ohio. Both my mom and dad were born in Columbus, Ohio. So I know Columbusians. I know we just actually were back there a couple months ago when my grandma passed away. Shout out Grandma Horton, 100 years young. Love you. But we were back in Columbus. So I love that Seth is poking around Columbus. And my cousin Abby said, I believe she even said, she's like, yeah, it's weird. Meredith Marks has been spotted at a couple places in Columbus. And I was like, no, not our Meredith, but it's true. He has a job in Columbus. Anyways, we see like interspersed scenes where he's putting the apron on Meredith. He's like, "This is what I signed up for. I'm tying you up right now." He makes everything a sex joke. "I'm tying you up by the waist right now. Maybe I can tie your hands down there later in our bathtub." Meredith continues in a talking head. "This company requires a lot more travel for him. A lot more travel. It's very intense for Seth. But since he's here, I know he knows absolutely nothing about cooking, so I thought it was time he learned a thing or two." What happened to the podcast? What happened to hanging by a thread, a podcast by Seth and Meredith Marks? Why are we going to cooking classes? We could be at home working on this podcast. It takes a lot of work, Meredith. I know you say you're a hard worker. What happened to this podcast? Why are we just out here cooking shakshuka when we have a podcast to make? So this is their little activity. So the chef is like, "You chose shakshuka. This is what we're making today." And Meredith slides in something, and you'll find out why. She's like, "Well, I thought shakshuka was an Israeli dish." And the chef is like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. Who's the chef here?" Right? No, he goes, "It is a very common dish in Israel, but it was created many, many moons before that." Don't say you don't ever learn things from Housewives. I now know something about shakshuka. It was created many, many moons before that. And Seth is like, "Honey, you picked like the best dish ever to cook. You put amazing." Um, so the shakshuka is finally served after they cook. It does look beautiful. The chef says that the eggs are poached beautifully. I was waiting for Seth to make some kind of like, "Yeah, it looks like Whitney's boobs, huh? You're right. Beautifully poached eggs." I don't know where my Seth imitation is going. So I love the egg dish, and Meredith has a nice big glass of Chianti right next to her. So the chef is like, "Enjoy the fruits of your labor." And I was like, "Oh God, is this gonna turn? Is this?" He leaves. I was like, "Is this gonna turn into like a sexy feeding each other food scene?" And of course, Seth does feed her the first bite, and he's like, "It's like, are you trying to listen to me chew, Seth?" And he goes, "I'm trying to see if you're having culinary sex." And Meredith's like, "It's really good. It's very good. The shakshuka is very good." So Meredith goes, "Seth, I don't think you remember, but we definitely did have shakshuka at Reed's bar mitzvah in Israel, you know?" He was like, "Yeah, I do remember that." "Well, Seth, I've been thinking a lot, about my heritage, and, I feel." Well, and this is actually serious, and she says, "You know how I feel about all the hatred and anti-Semitism in the world right now." And she says, "I've always been very proud to be Jewish, so I wanna get bar mitzvahed." And Seth is just like, "Whoa, zoinks! What are you hitting me with the bat mitzvah? What? Holy moly!" And Mary's like, "You're shocked. I can tell you're going into shock." And he's like, I'm rarely at a loss for words. That's so powerful, making this commitment this later in this back half of our life." Mary's like, "Fuck off. I'm in the front half, you asshole." And Seth's like, "It's freaking beautiful. That's what it is. Are you gonna learn Hebrew and do a whole Torah portion? You know, and you're gonna do the whole 9 yards? You're gonna get up there and do it?" And Meredith's like, "Of course." In a talking head, Meredith lets us know in Judaism, a bar or bat mitzvah marks a person's coming of age, typically done at 12 or 13 years old. And back in the scene, he's like, "I'm so proud of you." And he starts tearing up. And he goes, "I'm so proud of you." And he's tearing up and she goes, "Thank you." Yeah, I'm like, "Oh my god. This is turning erotic." She continues in a talking head, "My family never put a huge emphasis on religion. Our roots in Judaism were always our heritage. And traditionally, women were not bat mitzvahed. It was not something my sister or I did. It was not something my mother or grandmothers did. And I never really had a strong desire to do it until recently. It's my blood," she says. I like how she goes, "It's my blood." And then, by the way, listen, this sentiment is a very important sentiment. And there are so many things to be said. And I think, I mentioned that show on Netflix, Nobody Wants This. I've now mentioned it 8 billion times, which also talks about Judaism because um, you know, I keep calling him Seth Cohen. Adam Brody plays a rabbi in it. And um, you know, uh, the Jewish faith, especially in this last year, I don't know. There are so many things out in the world that I still don't understand, and that I have really strong feelings about. And then also trying to separate faith and people trying to celebrate their religion. And so I thought this was a very, because you could kind of go, "Oh my God, this is very reminiscent of Leah McSweeney in her second season of Roni when she converted to Judaism." But, Meredith's always been Jewish, but now she's going to get a bat mitzvah. And I thought, you know, I think her heart is in the right place because there is so much hatred out there in the world, so maybe this is a little bit of positivity that can be put back in. But sometimes you worry that a show like this, can it handle these, like, are we going to have actual serious conversations about this? Like, is Mary Cosby going to get into it about Israel with Meredith Marks? Are we going to be able to separate the Judaism from Israel? Like, where are we going with this? That was a question. And sometimes, like I said, Housewives and Bravo itself has been a platform for many large conversations. And some of those large conversations, they are handled so awkwardly, but at the same time, you're like, "Oh, wow, thank you for trying." Thank you for trying. Thank you for at least doing it awkwardly to open that door just a little bit. I'm obviously talking a lot about, their conversations about race, their conversations about sexuality, religion. And so, even sometimes if it is heavy handed or awkward, the important thing I have to keep reminding myself is at least they're having that conversation, if that makes sense. Seth talks about it feeling a little bit of emptiness that she never did this, and Mary's like, "You've always, encouraged this. You tried to get me bar mitzvah with Chloe," which I'm like, "Whoa, you suggested a mother-daughter bat mitzvah? Is that a thing?" I was like, "That's a whole, like, my god, that would have been an amazing season of reality television. Meredith and her daughter getting bat mitzvahed at the same time." But Meredith goes, "I said no, though. I said no at the time." But Seth says for him, it is so deep in the sense that there's not a lot of Jews in this world. So he says, "This is you saying, 'Hey, I'm Jewish.'" and he's tearing up, and it's very powerful, you know, but then he's like, "It's not often that the parent does it last." And she's like, "Shit, you always know the funny thing." Then he's like, "Show me your boobs." Um, but he just says, "That's amazing. I'm so proud of you being a supportive husband to her." And you're like, "Oh, the scene is gonna end, like, kinda beautifully." And then he goes, "I can't wait to talk dirty in Hebrew with you. I can't wait to talk dirty. Let's get in that bathtub so you can put some of your toes up my butthole again." Woo! Okay, we're out of that scene. Finally. It was very sweet. And then we go to our next scene. We see Angie Katsunavis, and she's in this like big pink, like fur like coat, and she's in this place called like Franklin Avenue. And she sits down, she's got her big sunglasses on, and she gets a booth. She loves a booth, she says, and she just sits there with the menu in front of her waiting. Lisa Barlow comes in with purpose. Lisa Barlow is also wearing large sunglasses. And I've got to say, I feel like Angie K started the large sunglass trend. I know that's probably not true, but I feel like, wow, now it's like one upping sunglasses. And I was kind of hoping during this scene that their sunglasses would just keep getting larger and larger, and Lisa would keep busting out like larger sunglasses, like they would cut to, and Angie would be intimidated by how large of sunglasses Lisa was wearing. So they sit down, and I gotta tell you, it's like this movie. Have you ever seen the movie Heat, directed by Michael Mann with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino? Very intense crime, thriller, drama, amazing movie. But towards the end of the movie, these two, you know, one's a criminal and one's a cop. Al Pacino's a cop, De Niro's the criminal, and they sit down after years of like, you know, playing cat and mouse, and they sit down for a very intense conversation. And it's like this is kind of the shot from Heat. Um, Angie's like, "Oh, I ordered a drink," and Lisa's like, "I'm gonna look at the menu real quick." Doesn't even do any pleasantries or anything like that, just like, "I'm gonna look at the menu real quick," and you can tell Angie's disappointed. So Andy's like, "Go ahead and check it out." And so Angie gets on her phone, and Lisa's just going over the menu of like, "What kind of fast food do they have here at Franklin Avenue?" In a talking head, she says, "For the past couple of years, Angie's been someone I talk to all the time. I care about her. I care about her feelings. I had her back. I take her side. I feel like I'm such a good friend to her. And it shocks me, shakshukas me, that she cares so little about my friendship and my feelings that she would take things that I shared with her in confidence and repeat them to Whitney. It's not only upsetting, it's beyond hurtful." Lisa, take away some of that hurt though, because you're on Housewives. That's kind of the game that you have to do, unfortunately. Some of these natural friendship rules don't apply once a camera comes on. Kind of, maybe in theory, right? So Angie's like, "Thanks for meeting me, Lisa. I didn't sleep well last night. I don't know how you slept." And Lisa, Lisa's probably like, "I slept like a baby. I sleep amazing every night, no matter what happens, no matter how I'm betrayed. I will sleep easy, a full 8 hours." And she goes, "Lisa, you know, I left your Bezos party, and I don't think it really hit me till I got home, just how" she's trying to search for the words. "You guys were like." And Lisa goes, "You guys." You like, "What? You guys?" And then he's like, "It felt like a gang up. You, Heather, and Meredith." And Lisa goes, "I didn't feel like it was a gang up." Yeah, of course, you're in the gang up. When you're in the gang up, I don't know if you know it's actually a gang up. You're just you're just in there. And then afterward, it's not like you like form some sort of Voltron monster, like we're in a gang up. No, I think you know. She's like, "I didn't feel like it was a gang up. You took the conversation me, Heather, and you had, and you brought it back to Whitney." Just pause. "You and I have conversations, Angie, that are meant just for you and me, not meant for everybody else, and you say things to me that I don't share with anybody else, and that's, like, what I need to make sure you and I still have. Are you wearing a fucking wire? I need to feel your body right now. Where is this being filmed?" No, I mean, it's this kind of intensity. So we have it is interesting, though, if you think about it. Heather already seems like she's suffering from extreme paranoia due to reality Von Tease. And I don't know if Lisa hasn't attributed it back to Monica yet, but Lisa seems very like it's the mob at this point of like you don't go against the Lisa Barlow mob. You're in it for life. So Angie in a talking goes, I told Whitney what Lisa said, not because I thought Whitney was in the right for calling her a villain, but because I thought she probably owed her an apology so they can move forward. Wait. Needle scratch. What? Wait, what? Wait, so is Angie saying I didn't agree with what Whitney said in the podcast, and I told her because I think Whitney owes Lisa an apology? Is that what we're going with? Because Angie, you could have then said in the scene with Whitney of like, listen, me being Greek, we're big on apologies. You owe Lisa Barlow an apology. So Angie continues, listen, Lisa, at times I do feel like I'm trying to do everything to prove that I'm a good friend for you. Angie, for me, I just feel like we're good, and then I feel like these extraneous things happen. And he's like, "Lisa, you have made it harder at times to be honest." "How, Angie?" "Well, I think other people in the group do have a fear of, like, Heather taking up for you last night was, 'I'm gonna show you, Lisa, that we are a team.'" And Lisa goes, "No, oh my god, oh my god." It's like her voice gets high. "Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, okay, this is a little frustrating for me." Okay, this is one of the first moments of this episode, and we've had this before with Lisa, where we realize she doesn't like to pronounce the R in frustrating, so it comes out frustrating. You're being frustrating. I love it. I think it's very quirky and amazing. But it's interesting because the closed caption person frustrated me because they wrote frustrating, and she's clearly saying frustrating. We need to take the R out. These are the little details, but I'm telling you, the little details is where the magic is. That's to the closed captioners out there. So Lisa goes, so because she's frustrated you, you think it's taking up for me? She was taking up for herself. I can handle myself. She was frustrated. Meredith was frustrated because the same thing keeps happening. I feel like I'm getting labeled, and this is where I close off. In a talking head, she goes, I don't know if Angie's only deaf when it comes to me, but like if she could stop trying to convince me to think exactly like her and would listen to me with the intent to understand me, we would get a lot further. I love Lisa's like, it's like a roundabout way of saying, if you just agree with me, we're good. Like, you've just got to agree. I mean, it's so simple. All you have to do is agree with me 100% of the time. We are solid. In the scene, she's like, because I'm strong, Angie. I don't deserve to be heard. And Angie goes, no, you do. But you may not realize that you are talking over someone or you are talking louder than someone. And she's like, that's just who I am, Angie. And Angie's like, well, somebody that, like her, who's not as strong as you. And Lisa goes, this is how I talk. This is how I move my hands when I talk. This is how I talk. This is how I walk. This is how I shake, shake, shake. And yeah, I love Lisa. This is how I talk. This is my left hand and this is my right. This is how when I am when I'm passionate. I am me. I'm not changing. I'm like mid, like late 40s. I'm like, hell yeah, girl. Sing it, sister. I am me. I'm not changing. I'm like mid, like late 40s. I love this. I love this. But like I said earlier, it kind of goes against that if you are going to get this upset and sensitive about these things. Like if you are, this is the conundrum of Lisa, right? I love her because she's so unapologetically herself. I just feel bad then because then she's so sensitive about people's reactions to her being herself. And that's where that's where the quandary is, right? That's where the little you're like, oh man, I love you because you're so unapologetically yourself. But maybe I also love her because she is this sensitive as well. But also, Lisa, you do you, don't change. She goes, I'm Lisa Barlow. This is it. This is what you get. Angie in a talking head goes, I've seen Angie in this talking head, she's wearing like this pink blazer with rhinestones on the lapels, and you see some boobies, like you see some cleave. And she's like, I've seen this movie before starring Lisa Barlow. You're expected to just agree, and I'm not going to do that this time. I came here with good intentions. So how are we ever supposed to move forward if she won't even hear me out? Lisa goes, I know who the fuck I am. And I don't need everybody saying, oh, you have good sides. And if people get to know you, they'll like you, which is such a dark thing to say. Like, how many people have told Lisa Barlow, oh, they just don't know you. They'll like you once they get to know you. Lisa, you are enough. I like you and I don't even agree with you most of the time. And I love you. Um, Angie goes, Okay, but why is everybody saying that to you though? Which is such that's the $1,000,000 question. And Lisa goes, "Because maybe they have a perception because it keeps getting perpetuated, and it's so fucking annoying." And she's like, "Well, what if it's that's their experience though? It's an easy out. If everyone think I'm a fucking villain and a bitch and I'm self-centered, I don't really care anymore." And Angie goes, "I don't think anyone thinks that, Lisa." Lisa goes, "I'm kind of over it. I'm kind of over it." And then she puts on her big sunglasses. She goes, "I'm gonna go, but I love you. And I hope we can continue the conversation. Have a good day." And Angie just goes, "Bye, Lisa. Bye, Lisa." Like Lisa removed herself from this scene. Like, I am not gonna do if you want me to be a bitch and a villain, so be it. I am Lisa Barlow, damn it. I will now put on my big windshield wiper glasses and walk out of this scene. Woo! Fire. Okay, prepare yourself. We are at a new house, and this looks like some sort of compound. I was like, it kind of. At first, I was like, "Oh my god, is this? Does Kanye West live here?" Like from the outside, and then we went inside, and it was wild. It was like a mix of like Andy Warhol's The Factory, and maybe a little Austin Powers with like a fun kids museum. And we realized it's Bronwyn's place, and we start off the scene very normally where she's trying to put what looks like a furry tutu on her dog, Freddie. And I'm like, of course, like interesting pieces of pop art around this house, like this big old, like, there's like this big, what is it, like some kind of, not like, I don't know, pack, a big like wood crate. Which I was like, "Is the wood crate itself a piece of art?" I had no clue at first. I don't know, like, I'm not rich, so I don't know. I was like, "Maybe that big wood crate is a piece of art." And her husband comes in, and her husband is wearing this very fancy sweater with a lightning bolt on the back of it, and I was like, "Uh-oh, is he part of Tom Sandoval's secret army that he's building?" He's like, "We will wear a lightning bolt every time we see it on Bravo. Just know Tom Sandoval is here." Anyways, Bronwyn's like, "She hates the tutu. She keeps trying to bite it off." And the guy's like, "Of course she does. Dogs shouldn't be wearing tutus." And then Bronwyn's like, "Freddie the dog has a surprise for you." And he's like, "I hope I don't step in Freddie's surprise is what I hope." He doesn't have an he just has a, I hope I don't step in Freddie's surprise is what I hope." No, Freddie got you a real surprise. We put it out last night. I'm surprised you didn't even notice it. Well, actually, I got you a surprise in a talking head. And by the way, Bronwyn's talking heads are top tier. Like, I don't usually pay attention to fashion, but she really pays attention to fashion. And it's just Lady Gaga mixed with what is it? Was that Mogadishu? That guy from Zoolander that Will Ferrell played? It's just like an extreme costume, but it works. She goes, "I met Todd, my husband, almost 10 years ago. I worked in finance at the time in San Francisco." And we see an old picture of Bronwyn, and in this old picture, she is still wearing some like kind of big green poofy, like off the shoulder dress. Looks a little different, but she's like, "I was supposed to meet a client for lunch, and Todd was sitting a few stools down from me at this bar and was just so funny." He's opening the box while she's doing the talking head. "He asked for my email, and I remember thinking he was gonna, like, professionally mentor me. He was gonna mentor that booty, you know what I'm saying?" No. He goes, "Oh, I think I know what the surprise is. Well, I went to work the next day, and I worked on a trading desk with all men, and they were like, 'He's hitting on you.' And I said, 'No, he asked for my email.' And they were like, 'He didn't ask for your email for work purposes. It's because he's old. He may not know how to text. Like, does he have a flip phone? Is it like one of those old people phones that has life alerts?" And Brahma goes, "I was like, okay, he's not that old." And it's like, I think this is like a Louis Vuitton little, I don't know what basic things are called. What is this, like a keepsake little box? But it's Louis Vuitton. And he's like, "I love this. This is from the Vegas Grand Prix, right? I love this. That was really nice of you." And they seem like they have a sweet relationship. She continues, "Todd was an OG in the tech world. Todd was the CEO of Palm Pilot or Palm. So ask one of your elders about a Palm Pilot or a trio or any one of those things that was Todd. Which, by the way, my parents never had a Palm Pilot, but I remember those Palm Pilots. I mean, that was like the future. I mean, this guy was the president of Palm Pilots. I thought he invented like the rotary phone or something. So this was amazing. We hear a doorbell ring. And so she continues in the talking head. Since Todd and I have been together, he has pivoted and does private equity. His hedge fund is based in New York. So I would say he has to be there 2 to 3 days a week. It's almost like 10 years of Bronwyn has really pushed him to the other side of the country. So this guy has got money, money. I mean, this guy, when you start saying things like private equity and hedge fund, I'm like, okay, that's real. That ain't religion. That's real wealth right here. And you know what? It's good to see real wealth sometimes in these shows. And also, it's great to see somebody like Bronwyn with a flair for spending money, like, in interesting, unique ways. And so we open the door and it's Cody. It's Bronwyn's designer. It's Bronwyn's interior designer. Of course, she has a personal interior designer. So he comes in and he's already like, you can just tell this guy's like, cha-ching. He's like, guys, what is going on with this furniture? Like, did we leave anything in the showroom? Because it's like stacked with everything. He's like, this is very carefully placed. What is going on here? Bronwyn says, Gwen and Todd and I have lived in this house in Salt Lake City for a year and a half. And she hasn't, like, really put this house together, so it's just a bunch of these, like, amazing art pieces and furniture pieces, but with no real vision. So it's all super unfinished, Bronwyn says. And, I mean, it is just a really austere it's weird, it's like, there is this museum vibe, but funky. I'm trying to even describe there's, like, a Dave& and Buster's vibe at the same time, but, like, not I don't know, you guys. Anyways, Bronwyn's like, "Todd is like a finished is better than perfect kind of guy." Well, I'm not like that. And Todd's like, "We have a lot of pieces that we've collected from all over the world. We've got some very unique pieces from China, some very cool artwork from Vietnam. The really special thing about Todd is that he likes me happy. So even if it's rainbow cheetah carpet, if he can walk on it, he's probably not gonna complain." He continues, "I actually carried the torch in the London Olympics, so I have my torch." And the designer's like, "You carried the torch?" He's like, "Yes, yes." Yes, Todd ran the Olympic torch before they lit the whole thing, before the London Olympics. So we see a picture of Todd with the torch. So like I said, this guy is hooked up. This guy and by the way, now I want Todd in I hope we get Todd hanging out with Seth. Like, I hope Seth's like, "Hey, are you a boob man or are you an ass man? What are you, Todd? Tell me." "Well, I carried the Olympic torch and I don't really think about women in that way." "I gotcha. I gotcha. I'm just joshing with you. That's a little bit of Columbus, Ohio humor for you." Anyways, Todd's like, maybe we should start with today with the piece of art that we just bought. And we go to that large crate that I actually thought was an art piece, but it turns out it actually is a large crate because and then they're opening it, and it reminds me so much of that crate from A Christmas Story. You remember the Christmas Story where he's like, it's here, and it says like fragile on it, but he's like fragile. That means it's French. It's French. So I was like, kept thinking, I was like, oh my god, it would be amazing if it was like a giant leg lamp, but it turns out it is this really insane piece of, like, chairs on top of each other, and Bronwyn lets us know that there's a version of this in the Guggenheim Museum. It's experimental and new, and, I mean, I can only imagine how much do you think this cost? It's gotta be I mean, could this be 100,000? But anyways, it's these chairs stacked on top of each other, and in neon, it says, "You changed my life," in, like it's it's wild. Anyways, Todd goes out of the other room, and she starts talking, like, in whispers with the designer, and she's like, You'll see what goes on in the archive. If you call your closet and archive, once again, that's wealth, folks. Like my little space of the closet, like that's an old Navy archive, but I would never dare call it archive. I would call it Lee archive, lay archive, but archive. That's interesting. We got to get more scenes with her and Mary. We've got to get more scenes. Anyways, she starts talking about her daughter, Gwen, and she lets us know that her and Todd have no kids together. Gwen is her daughter from a previous relationship. She says she got pregnant with Gwen when she was 19, turning 20. Her dad was not interested in being a part of it. So Gwen and I are probably too close, which then that kind of makes perfect sense because remember, she was telling last week's episode about BYU, Brigham Young University. So imagine that she was pregnant at BYU at that age. Imagine what that does to somebody at that age at BYU of all colleges. I mean, that is, I mean, I'm so interested to hear more of Bronwyn's take on that situation and how what that did to her, how it made her stronger. And obviously, you know, she just keeps saying how close she is with her daughter because she had her at such a young age. They do a scene about, they do a scene with her daughter real quick. They flash back to talking to Gwen, saying what she's most excited about graduating. Is it getting away from me? And the daughter seems really sweet. And it's like, well, kind of, yeah. And Braun was like, well, I know she, you know, it's just going to hurt me when she leaves, and it's obvious that it will hurt me. So, man, I wonder if we're going to see that this season as well. So then they're just talking about where they're gonna put the art pieces because they need to entertain, and right now, Bronwyn says she's coming off a little sus. She's giving off a little bit of a sus vibe because people are like, "Let's get together," and she's like, "Let's meet at a restaurant instead. Let's meet at the gym," which would be great for Bronwyn's first Housewives party. She just has it at a Planet Fitness or something like that. She's like, "They think I live in a box somewhere because I won't let people come over and see the millions of dollars of artwork we have. Crazy." We see the moonrise in Salt Lake, and we see Heather Gay walking down the street with a umbrella because it's a rainy Salt Lake day. Whitney pulls in, and they are at a crystal store. So I'm like, oh, perfect. You know, Whitney likes crystals. Everybody likes crystals. The place is called Crystal Journey. And Heather goes, you can pick out one crystal as a special token and it's just gotta be under $500. So was Heather serious? Was Heather like, "Hey, Toots, I know we ganged up on you last night, so why don't you pick out a fancy crystal and, I got it. Just gotta be under 500." Are you shitty? I couldn't tell if that was a joke or not. Because 'cause I'm like, "W," and then I was like, "Whitney, you better take her up on it. She's offering a $500 crystal. You make sure that is 499. And what ask what crystal can, like, help with, like, being fully bullied every episode. Don't come at me, people. She literally is being ganged up on. I'm sorry. I know some people think I'm having an unpopular opinion right now, but I'm fine where I stand right now. Like, listen, she really is being ganged up on. Whitney and I talking to that goes, I'm all up in my feels about seeing Heather today, in my feels today. Like the Bezos party sucked. Our relationship is complicated, but we are very close. She's my girl, and there is only one way to get through things, and that is to work through it. Hell yeah. I mean, Whitney, yes. You gotta work through these things. But this is what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, very complicated relationship, but we are still very close. Wild. I just would never be like that. And Heather's like, "Can you show me a crystal that would have helped at the dinner?" And Whitney's like, "There's nothing powerful enough for that room. It was a total gang up." And then we flash back to the gang up again. We hear Heather going, "You lied about me in the book." And Lisa goes, "You did. You lied about that." And then Meredith goes, "You accused me of lying about my father's memorial." And then Heather going, "You said that I wrote unauthorized material." And then Meredith goes, "You accused Mary of running a cult and being a predator." And then Mary, there's a shot of Mary from the Bezos party with her sunglasses on her head, like, who, me? Who, me? And Mary goes, "You have accused everyone in our group of having affairs." Lisa Barlow did too. And then Heather fully loses it, like screams at the Bezos party, "You said you exploited my vagina." And Heather in this scene has the nerve to say, "It was not a gang up as much as, like, we were all saying, 'Yeah, it happened to me too. Me too, me too, me too.'" And you were just like, "Nope, nope, nope, Whitney." And when he goes, "But you are all saying I'm lying about feelings, not facts." You know, talking head, she goes, "If Lisa would have listened to me, then she wouldn't have had to hear my feelings on a podcast. But her calling me a liar over my feelings is no different than me calling her a liar for being mad at me." I mean, it's true. I mean, I'm sorry, she's right. Heather says, "But it just feels kind of like you just DGAF." Come on, Heather, let's don't give a fuck. That's what D it feels like you're DGAF. It feels like you're not DTF. But she says, "It feels like you're DGAF about how your friendships go at this point." Like, you're doing you, you're on your healing journey. I hate you know what I hate? I hate that all of us memers and podcasters really picked up on Whitney's healing journey, and now we all say it, and you know that all these housewives pay attention to everything that usually is said or memed about them, so they've picked up on it, and now they repeat the healing journey, except they say healing, but like, we help them like, you can tell how much they pay attention. I don't mean to this podcast, but just in general, they really pay attention and then they usually not parrot it back fully, but start bringing it up. But Heather continues, you're like, you don't care about it. And if it hurts other people in the process, you're kind of like, deal with it. Which, by the way, what Heather is describing right now is exactly how Lisa Barlow is acting. That's what she literally just said in the scene with Angie of like, I'm I am Lisa. I'm in my mid 40s. I don't give a fuck. I am DGAF. This is who I am. I'm not changing. That's what like Heather is Heather Gay going to have this conversation with Lisa Barlow? But she's comfortable having it with Whitney. Heather in a talking head goes, "I'm super frustrated with Whitney right now, and even though I love her, it does not mean that I like her. Even though I had to lose you to love you. I had to lose like, I love it. Even though I love her, doesn't mean I like her." And she thinks she, like, served in the talking head. She says she does a lot of damage, and she expects all of her friends to just kind of absorb it and recover from it. And it's like, we may be strong enough to do that, but only to a certain point, and then you're gonna be screwed forever, and you're not gonna even make it into heaven potentially. Like, that's like, what do you mean lose it for like, this I there's like a d each one of these housewives, there's a different set of rules for. I mean, it's a different set of rules for each housewife. And I'm sorry, I do not like I see Whitney doing little things here and there or making what we call housewives moves. Like, oh, I'm doing this for the shit. Like, I can tell those little housewives moves, but they're like, oh, like, I don't think it's egregious. I'm not like that Whitney did it again. Like, are you kidding me? I just don't see it the way that I don't know. Anyways, but Heather even like gets more intense. She goes, "And not even blood relatives will save you." Once again, Heather acting like she is in fucking Yellow Jackets or a crime thriller. "Even your ancient heritage will not be here to protect you. You will be banished. You will be in permanent purgatory from Salt Lake." Oh my goodness. When he goes, "Bottom line is, I wish you would have stood up for me a little bit more and not piled on." Heather goes, "Okay, I apologize for that. I apologize for my part in it. But do you see if 3 of your friends are telling you?" "I do see that, yes. If 3 of my friends are telling me something, that means that there's something you need to look at." Heather goes, "Yeah. I just don't know how we're ever gonna really, like, move forward if we just don't, like, stop going back." This would have been a perfect moment for another thunderclap, Monica Garcia, like, dum dum. When he goes, "Before all of this went down, I had this, like, fun trip planned." And I was like, "Where?" "You're gonna laugh, hear me out. Um, I'm going to Milwaukee." And Heather's like, "Shut up, girl. To Trixie's bar." "Trixie has a bar in Milwaukee?" "Yeah, Trixie has a gay bar in Milwaukee." And we flash back to 1 year earlier when we went to the Trixie Hotel in, Palm Springs, right? When he goes, "I really wanted all the girls to come. I had some fun activities planned." And Heather goes, "There's no way you can invite everybody now. There's no way. Angie and Bronwyn can come." Now Heather can come, and Heather goes, "Ha, ha, 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 because I did. I met up with Bronwyn, and she's awesome, and she was super supportive." And then there's, like, a pause. There's a pause, like, Heather takes that in of, like, "What?" And we flash back to, Whitney and Bronwyn at the car, and Whitney, um, Bronwyn is talking, to Whitney, and she was like, "It was great the other night at the Bezos party talking to you. I was like, I have a lot in common with it, Whitney, and I was happy talking to you, Whitney, until it got interrupted." Whitney's like, "I genuinely was like, I love Bronwyn. I love people who are very direct. I really appreciate your openness." And you see them getting along, like, twin flames. And Heather's like, "Really? Really?" Heather and I talking, and goes, "I wanna give Whitney some credit here, but are we talking about the same Bronwyn? Because the Bronwyn from Wendy's drive-through that I know does not like you. In fact, she was crying laughing at you. It doesn't track. It doesn't track." In this scene, Heather's like, "Milwaukee's like Laverne and Shirley land, right?" It's also, Heather, Jeffrey Dahmer land. That's Milwaukee as well. So it really is just a bouillabaisse of activity. When he goes, "Milwaukee," is like, "Don't sleep on Milwaukee. Milwaukee wants us." What? The people from Milwaukee have released a statement of like, "Thank you to Whitney for putting Milwaukee on the map. We have not had this kind of heat since Ryan Murphy's Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. Milwaukee wants us. Don't sleep on Milwaukee, everybody. Let's do this." So Heather goes, "Okay, I was gonna get everybody together to do some sort of team building exercise, like a ropes course." Of course you were. It's Housewives. Of course we all can't just sit in a room and talk. We've got to do an activity. Like, fuck, if I was on, I'd be like, I'm gonna get everybody together and we're gonna color. We're gonna color in coloring books. We're gonna with crayons. Yeah, we're just gonna color. Yeah, like, I mean, can you imagine trying to think of new activities for Housewives at this point? Like, the murder mystery party has been done to death. The rage room has been done to death. We've already had a ropes course. What was it? Was it 13 or 13 or 14 of Real Housewives of Orange County? I think it was Emily and Gina's first season. We had that ropes course. Remember Vicky and the ropes course? So we've done the ropes course, but we haven't done it in a minute. So, I think if I invite everybody, then you can just kinda see where the temperature's at, because I don't want you to throw this trip away. "I will come to your activity, Heather. I will come to your activity in hopes of everybody going to Milwaukee." Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm starting to fade. This flipping flu shot and booster, I'm like, "Ugh, feeling feverish." Or maybe that's just a great episode of Salt Lake, what it does to you. Um Oh my god, this next scene is so bizarre that I'm about to talk about, but it's not as bizarre, just this breaking news we just got while I was recording. Lana Del Rey, the amazing, singer, she got married today. She got married to that alligator tour guide that everybody was saying she was dating, and then they were like, "Nah, she's not dating that guy." She got married to this guy, Jeremy Dufresne, and we have pictures of her walking down, like, she married the alligator tour guide. This is huge for alligator tour guides everywhere. Wow, she got married in the Louisiana Bayou 1 month after due. Holy moly. We gotta get Lana Del Rey on a Housewives franchise ASAP. Holy moly. Well, you think that's bizarre? Wait till you get to this scene, because we are at Meredith Marks's rental in Salt Lake City. And this is a scene between Meredith, her daughter Chloe, and her son Brooks. And you guys, if I said that one scene was sponsored by Wendy's, this scene feels like it is sponsored by melatonin, um, off market Xanax. I mean, this scene is so I mean, you can tell they're I mean, I think this is just they all just kind of talk. uh, It's such a mellow household. Like, they're all great. They seem like great kids. But it's just Mayor's like, Chloe. And Chloe comes in, it's like, "What do you have going on, madame?" It's all like just really like it's all the same pace. And she's like, "I'm working on bath bombs. I'm working on bath bombs." This is what I'm talking about. Whitney already had bath bombs on the market years ago, and you're in the kitchen making up bath bombs right now? You gotta hop to it quicker. Just because you like to take the old baths doesn't mean that you have a patent on bath bombs. But we see, by the way, Meredith is dressed to the nines. We're making bath bombs, and she completely looks amazing. Her family, Chloe, looks amazing. Brooks, like, and they're wearing these gloves, and not just right, they're just finger gloves, like individual finger gloves. I'm like, of course they're wearing finger gloves. Like, I'm like, this is the fanciest family ever. But Chloe's like, it's like a science project. And Mary's like, right? I've been working with a lab, but I wanted to figure out the perfect bath bomb so that I can give the recipe to the lab. Guys, I don't know science, but like, I so Meredith, like Einstein, like Meredith's like in, like she's in the lab, in the in the studio. This is how I imagine Kylie Jenner came up with the Kylie lip stuff, like just in the lab. She's just like putting together potions. Like, how do we know Meredith knows the right potions to give to the lab? I would imagine the lab does that. It's like what? It's like a little dash of cinnamon, some diet Sprite. Yep, we'll put a little some olive juice. Olive juice never hurts anybody, I bet. And we'll just mix it all together. We'll put a little Splenda and lots of bath bomb. Yeah. In a talking head, Meredith is like, this bath bomb process is not so easy. It's quite an undertaking. And then she goes, in the scene, goes, where are my safety goggles? And Brooks goes, here are your goggles, and brings over patented Meredith Marks like huge ski goggles. This scene, like, come, you guys aren't even taking yourself seriously. I'm sorry. This is David Lynch times 10. This is like, oh, of course. He goes, here are your goggles. Here are your goggles, mother. And like, it's like huge ski goggles. And she's like, I design and have all of my own products created. So Brooks is like, let's start with recipe one. In a talking head, she goes, I don't just slap my label on everything and just call it Meredith Marks. No, I legitimately create it in the kitchen and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But you know it comes from me, Meredith Marks. So in the scene, she goes, as you guys know, I've been talking about doing this for like at least a year, maybe longer. And then Heather came over the other day and she was like, did you see Whitney's bath bomb? And the daughter says, I thought you taking a bath is creepy. And Meredith goes, like, it's creepy, it's dirty, like, everyone knows that bats are my thing, you know what? And so Chloe goes, "Did you pick the bone with her?" Is that even the q I feel like I'm feverish. Is that how you so did you pick, like, oh, bone to pick with her? Did you pick the bone? Okay, now I get it, now I get it. And she's like, "Are you letting it fizzle?" And Meredith goes, "I did. No, I did." And she's the whole time she's in this scene with these huge ski goggles, so you're like, "Wait, is this like a 3D movie?" She was like, "I've been doing bath bombs for a long time." And Chloe goes, "I really love when you impersonate her." I don't know, and my jewelry is about spirituality. So that's Meredith doing Whitney. And Chloe goes, "Yes, girl. Yes, girl." Well, anyways, I'm so excited you guys are here and helping me with this. I have so much work. I've been working like 7 days a week. It's a lot. And on top of that, I'm learning Judaism. So it is just so much. And then Chloe goes, she's a boss. She's a boss, babe, boss. And guess what, guys? I'm gonna start studying to be bat mitzvahed. And Brooks goes, you're kidding, right? And Chloe goes, no, I'm very serious. Brooks goes, I don't think people do that at your age. And Chloe's like, ooh, slam. He's like, "I've never heard of that before." "Wow, I thought you were supposed to do it when you were 13." And Chloe's like, "So why? Respectfully, why? I'm much more emotionally in touch and mature, and it's my choice. It's what I want. It's not like, oh, this is what you do because 'cause you're 13. In fact, your bat mitzvah was bullshit because you didn't even know if you wanted it. Chloe, mine is real. It's a real bat mitzvah." So Chloe's like, "You're not doing it for the party and the coins?" "No, no, no, no. I don't need any gifts, but it would be cool if Chingy could perform at my bat mitzvah." And Brooks is like, "Did you tell dad yet?" "Yes." Dad was so excited, visibly excited in the nether regions. And then Brooks is like, "I think this needs more wo." So this whole time, they're continuing working on these bath bombs. I need to see the notes for these bath bombs. Matthew goes, "You know, your dad's wanted me to do that for a while." And Clay goes, "So exciting." And he goes, "Mazel tov." "Yes, mazel tov, Brooks, mazel tov." Guys, I I I'm speechless. I am speechless. I need more scenes with this family. In fact, I wish I could like, if I sped this up to 2 times the normal speed, that would be the normal way my family communicates. It's way slowed down. Like, everybody marches to the beat of their very slow drummer in the Marx household. So we get out of that scene, and we are now at Grandview Rotary Park, and you guys, we've got big pickleball showing us their influence again. I swear to God, it's like Big Pharma and Big Pickleball. They're both being pushed on us, and we're at pickleball courts with Heather and Heather's friend Brittany, one of the new cast members. And it's curious. Brittany, I kind of was almost assuming was full time, but she's not in the the slate shot at the beginning. So I guess she's the friend of, but she's really been having some nice moments in both episodes where she's sharing about her life. So they're going to this pickleball. I don't know, you guys. I've never played pickleball. I'm sure I would enjoy it, but like the people that really push pickleball, like Randall Emmett, like remember when he was making the pickleball documentary that I don't think has come out yet? And then I remember Freddie Mellencamp, she was on the cover of Pickleball magazine a couple of years ago, which blew my mind. I was like, there's a magazine for pickleball and Freddie's on the cover? Huge. So the girls are there to, play pickleball, and Heather's like, "Hey, Brittany's one of my Mormon friends. I met her through Angie Harrington, and there's an kind of an open vulnerability to Brittany that I find really charming, and she always has rolls in her purse." So they pull out paddles, and Heather goes, "It's a nice departure from my other friends that are pretty defensive and cynical." I will say I agree with Heather on that. So far, Brittany does come off like that, kind of just like really open, potentially a little insecure, maybe a lot insecure, but seems like a generally nice person, which usually is like chum. It's like bait for these other housewives that eat these kind of housewives up. So they start playing pickleball, and I got to tell you, folks, it really changed. It did not change my mind at all. This looks super boring. Just super, I don't know. What do you want? It's like pickleball, whatever. So Brittany's saying, "Oh, we're so excited for your ropes course. I really loved your invite." And we see Heather's video invite where she is wearing like a helmet and like a jumpsuit of like, "Do you like heights? Do you love adventure? Do you love the outdoors? Do you love friendship? You can have all three if you join me this weekend for a fun adventure." Whoo! So that's the end of the video invite she sent out. And Brittany's like, "I feel like we need that ropes course after the other night." Huh. That's such a housewives trope of like, this is my sentence where I will bring up what happened the other night so that we can talk about that together in our scene that we are doing. And then Heather goes, "Hey, by the way, how are you and Jared?" Because remember, she was dating on and off one of the Osmonds. And Brittany's like, "Oh gosh, we're figuring it out." She in a talking head, Brittany goes, "I'm Mormon, but I've been married and divorced twice. I met Jared right after my second divorce." And we see a photo of them. And like, if I'm hearing this correctly, they've only been dating 7 months and they have taken this professional looking photo unless this is her ex-husband here. But I'm like, a 7-month best friendship slash relationship, you're taking these professional shots? But anyway, she says, "My ex-husband," because my ex-husband and his ex-fiance started dating. Jared found out first and he called me and we commiserated and we trauma bonded over it, and our friendship turned into romance. I'm sorry, make this girl a full-time housewife immediately. Like, their exes got together and then they started getting together, and then we cut to a scene with, Brittany talking to this Osmond guy, and she's like, "I just want you to know how much you mean to me." And he's like, "You and I have had a very interesting 7 months as best friends." Womp womp. We've had and her face is like, okay." In a talking head, she's like, "But Jared and I have broken up, 16 times. We always get back together." So there's a silver lining. She's like, "We just can't seem to stay broken up." So, okay, 7 okay, I'm not good at math, so I'm gonna I feel feverish, so I'm just gonna actually go to an actual calculator. So 7 months, 16 times in 7 months. Do you divide 7 by 16? So they've broken up 2.2 times, 2.28 times every month for the 7 months that they've been together. I mean, this relationship is obviously going all the way. So then Brittany asks Heather, "Hey, how come you aren't dating?" And Heather's like, "I just feel like my life is finally like going in a direction that I recognize. And like, why would I want to screw that up with a man? And you know what? My marriage was really, really miserable." I mean, I will say, I completely agree with Heather's reasoning on this, is that everything is going Heather's way. I truly believe she loves being on this show. She loves doing the book. She loves her daughters. There's so much. It's like, yeah, why would you want to screw it up with a stupid dude? Because that's you. I mean, I hate to be all pessimistic, but my God, it does seem like, yeah, ride this wave and like do you, and then when it comes, it comes. But I will say I kind of am curious, is she doing the old hippity dippity, DTF, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like not a relationship, but like is she doing any of that kind of, I don't know why I'm whispering. Anyways, Brittany goes like, "Yeah, you and I really have had extremely similar experiences, I'll put it that way. Sacrifice what you want to do for a man." And Heather goes, "It seems like you're only divorced for how many months before you're in another serious relationship, Brittany?" She's like, "Yeah, I know. Actually, the longest I've ever been single is like 8 months." And she's like, "Why does being alone make you feel uncomfortable, Brittany?" And she goes, "Well, I guess because I value that romantic relationship probably more than maybe I should." By the way, you nailed it, Brittany. Period. In the story. We can go home from pickleball now. But no, she doesn't seem to truly understand that lesson. And Heather goes, "What about your kids too? You know what I mean? How do you juggle all that and feel not like porn in a thousand different directions?" And Brittany's like, "I've totally sacrificed my kids for a man, but it's my fault. That's the problem." It's like, that's the worst part. And Heather goes, "What happened, girl?" She goes, "Oh, it's a long story. I'll tell you sometime." Listen, we have time now. I'd rather hear the story than watch you guys play pickleball. Heather and I talking, it says, "Okay, Brittany is Mormon, and she reminds me of the Mormonism that I was steeped in my entire life. The celestial law is as clear. You can get into heaven without children, but not without a husband." Yeah, I didn't see, I feel like I'm kind of up on, Mormonism, or lightly. I've had a lot of friends that are Mormons. I've read a lot about it, but, for some reason, that's such a big thing that I completely missed in all of my religious studies. I didn't realize you had to be married as a woman to get into heaven. Like, how is there, I mean, come on, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives cast. I'm talking to you, season 2. What the fuck? Let's get that rule. Let's get that heaven rule off of that. Can we do some kind of meeting of the elders? And I feel like maybe talk to God or Joseph Smith's ghost and like, let's say, hey, as we, get more power as women and realize how much power we have, this heaven law is complete bullshit. Complete bullshit. Women can't get into heaven unless they're married. I know we're really deep into this 2024 elections, but I feel like one of these candidates should campaign with like, "Hey, by the way, if I'm president, I will fucking make it elite. I will make it so unwed Mormon women can get into heaven without a dude. What kind of backwards bullshit thinking are we talking about here? That's why so many religions have these really gaping holes in it, because when they were like created and conceived, women were really looked down on in certain capacities. Like, imagine how insane is that? Because you want to believe heaven is this amazing, beautiful place where we were all equal, we are all one, not women. You better have a ring on that finger to get into heaven. You better put a ring on. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, that blew me. That made me more upset than anything I've seen in Housewives this week. Is this true? I, ugh. Anyways, Heather's like, and so Mormonism creates women that prize the romantic relationship above everything else. I can think of a dozen times where I put my husband's needs in front of my children, she says. And so I can understand how Brittany can find herself in this position, as horrible as it sounds. And Brittany in the scene goes, "That's the most painful part of life and regret, is knowing that you could have made a better choice." Oh my God, sing it, sister. I've been there. And Heather goes, "But you still didn't lose your zest for love and pickleball." Brittany goes, "I really don't know what that's about." And then Heather turns around and goes, "Patriarchy, girl. Page, tell me about it, stud. Sandy." Um, and then Brittany goes, "Maybe. Your serve. Maybe. We'll find out in the afterlife." Oh my God, that is so dark. But I got to tell you, those scenes like that, all kidding aside, that's the stuff. Like, I love all the fights and the backstabbing and the lies and the betrayal and all that stuff about Housewives. But this stuff, I really love. I get fascinated with that. And just that thought of what that does for a woman in that religion in Salt Lake City, and how you would then prioritize romantic relationships. That's why they all are married so young. And I mean, it's really something so interesting and potentially dark to think of. I'm sure there's a lot of successful young relationships in the Mormon church, but there's got to be a lot that are together just because of that, because of not wanting to go against God and wanting to be the best soldier for God. And that really is truly something that I hope we keep revisiting this season. That's why, this to me is the foundation. If you can have a foundation, of really solid things, then you can get super fucking crazy and nuts at a Bezos party. Then that ridiculousness has this, you're like, well, we can always go back to this foundation of real relationships and real things happening to women. Whew, keep having to take breaks. I am fading. Also, while I was taking my break, Lady Gaga just dropped a surprise album called Harlequin, because she's in the Joker sequel that comes out in a couple of weeks, and she has a full 41-minute album that she just dropped, and it seems like she does a lot of standards, like old songs like "World on a String," "Get Happy," "That's Entertainment," "Smile." I wonder if that's the Smile that Charlie Chaplin wrote. "That's Life," the Sinatra song. Oh, I can't wait to listen to this. Huh. Oh my gosh, you guys. I wish at times like these I could just call up somebody and just finish the recap with. Nobody needs this, by the way. But God, I gotta get through this. Okay. Okay, here we go. One more time with feeling. We open up and we are at Angie's salon, and this salon looks really fancy, actually. I was like, this ain't no Supercuts. This is a nice salon. I was like, move over, Beauty Lab and Laser. This is the new frontier. And we have Bronwyn coming in to meet with her. And I gotta say, Angie is so funny in scenes. She is destined to make millions, like from QVC one day. I can already see her selling like a product on QVC that she invents, not one of Meredith's bath bombs. So, yes. And she's always just very professional. Like, "Hello, Bronwyn. You look very good in my store. Thank you for coming. I'm just here greeting everybody." Oh, amazing. And then talking to Ed, she goes, "Thank God people in Salt Lake City are so vain and like to get their hair done, because our business is booming." And they are opening their 10th location, and she lets us know. And Sean, her husband, and her, they love working together, she says. So, Bronwyn gets introduced to her salon guy through Angie. Like, it's her first time. It's Bronwyn's first time here. When you're here, your family. Angie says, "We went through a lot together last year, me and my husband, with people talking about our marriage, rumors about our business, and it brought us together. And we're stronger as a couple today because of it." Thanks, Meredith, she says. So Angie, while she's getting her hair done, she, sits next to Bronwyn, and Ron's like, "I was dying to see you independent of everybody else, Angie." And Angie goes, "Thank you for saying that, because I left Lisa's Bezos event thinking I loved Bronwyn and worried what you might be thinking of me because of how my relationship with Lisa might have looked that night." And Bronwyn goes, "I love Lisa, and we're always going to be friends, but nothing that was said about her was untrue." Bronwyn, let's just clock it right here, 33 minutes, 17 seconds into the episode. This is when your relationship with Lisa Barlow has officially hit the rocks. That sentence right there. Um, Bronwyn continues, "I think Whitney does probably feel like she has to do what Lisa wants a lot. And it's probably okay to be able to say that. I don't love, saying I don't want to kiss your ass and stomping out and that whole work. And I had that conversation separate with Whitney. I think she needs to find a different way to get her point across. And I would love in the future if you have a problem with me that you would make me a full scroll. I mean, I hope we never have a full scroll worth of problems." And Angie goes, "Are you kidding? You're worth a longer scroll full of all good things." Angie says, "Bronwyn's easy to get to know. She's warm, she's witty, and she's rich as fuck. Her fashion is enough to put on a scroll," Angie says. Angie goes, "I have to tell you, Bron, when I met you at that event last year, I thought your husband was so sweet. I can see why you just adore and love him." And Bronwyn goes, "Oh, I don't think everybody sees that side of him. I think people see an intimidating, serious, kind of successful side of him, the creator of the Palm Pilot. So when you're like, oh, your husband's this big teddy bear," I was like, okay, well, nobody recognizes about him. You know what was weird about the dinner the other night? I was talking to somebody else that I didn't know that night, and they asked me if I'm hard to get to know. And I said, yes, but I didn't feel that way about you. And Angie goes, "Can I ask who? And if you don't want to tell me, you don't have to." And Bronwyn goes, "It's Brittany. Brittany's all over the place. I want to see how that goes a little bit more." And Angie goes, "Oh, about Brittany, yesterday, we went bowling, and she brought the fur heart up twice. She was just being really weird." And I think the fur heart was in reference to what Bronwyn was wearing at the Bezos party. And Bronwyn goes, "I don't like to call another woman stupid. I like to be supportive of the other woman, but I'm not sure this woman can spell YSL, so I'm not really pressed if she liked what I was wearing." I love that. I don't like to call women stupid, but my God, what a fucking idiots. Um, and then Bronwyn continues, "I'm not even meaning Eve Saint Laurent. I mean, I don't know if she can put the three letters together. YSL." I love that Bronwyn had to explain her joke to Angie because Angie just didn't laugh at all. Bronwyn says, "There's a reason, with typical women like Brittany are the reason I struggle to make strong female friends. I often think I can trust someone, and then later that ends up not being the case." In the scene, she goes, "I love that she's still worried about that a week later." And Angie goes, "Yeah, you're really gonna have to go over the top tomorrow." He says, "This reminds me of when I was at BYU and I was 19 and pregnant, and other women were judging me and talking about me, and that has not gone away." See, but what I love about this is Bronwyn kind of understanding that about herself, and like this is why I feel this way around people like Brittany, because it reminds me of when I was pregnant at BYU at 19. Bronwyn says, "I'm a little nervous about this to begin with, the ropes course, but now I'm really feeling like I have to really show up tomorrow ready for my Navy SEAL tryout." In a talking head, she says, "I just shoved that down, and so I don't always feel like I can trust other people. I'm always waiting for someone to let me down. By the way, Angie, I'm never going to chit chat with a friend without a scalp massage again because this is amazing." So this whole conversation, this man has been like massaging her head, which is great. Um, this show is so ridiculous. We finally get to the ropes course that we've been talking about. All of the women are showing up. Bronwyn, I got to say, is severely underdressed from what I was expecting. She's kind of all in black, and all the women are showing up. And Lisa's like, "Oh my God, there's mud." And Whitney goes, "I think today is going to be a standstill with Lisa. Like, I'm pissed at her. I feel like she owes me an apology, but I'm also smart enough to know that she probably thinks I owe her an apology." Yeah, exactly. we meet, I think her name's Brinlin? Brinlin, who was like the head ropes course person, or like Brinlin. It was like some something name, and I was like, yeah, Brinlin. All right. Mary Cosby has like this yellow hood scarf thing that looks very expensive, but she wears it from here on out for the rest of this whole scene into the food. Maylee's there, who is Whitney's friend. I was calling her Melly last episode. Sorry, it's Maylee. So she's there. So we get the whole "You're beautiful, you're looking great, you're beautiful." And Mary says to Meredith, "Are you preparing for your acuity to be exposed?" And Mary's like, "Of course, of course. How did you know?" I don't even know what acuity means, and I'm not going to look it up. Anyways, Brittany, this poor Brittany walks up, and Mary goes, "Oh God, be with me, God. Be with me, God." She just said it looked like a costume. She was trying to be nice, and Mary's like, "Be with me, God. I need all your grace." Brittany says, "I don't understand why Mary's so rude to me." And a talking head Mary Cosby goes, "She's not a listener. And if you think I'm poor, ask me." But she just assumed I was. Have you ever asked, "Hey, I'm enjoying this conversation we're having. I just wanted to, are you poor?" I was getting a vibe. Brittany and her talking head says, "It's because I tried to relate to her." And then Mary and her talking head goes, "She's just not the sharpest knife in the drawer. She's not even the sharpest spoon." That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about with Mary, what I said earlier. She's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Yeah, okay, that makes complete sense. I see what you're saying. I might not agree with it, but I understand what you're doing there. And then she goes, "She's not even the sharpest spoon." And then I'm like, "Okay, you lost me again." What? Sharpest spoon? What? Anyways, Heather goes, "Thanks everybody for coming. I'm so excited for this activity. I think it's going to push all of us a little bit in a good way, hopefully. Hopefully, we'll get some good footage." And with no further ado, I'm going to turn over the time to our friend Brinley. It's Brinley. And she's leading us through the intense activity today, you guys. And Brinley's like, "We're going to do a helmet, harness, gloves. So kindly come up. We'll harness you guys up." Mary's like, "I was not here to be felt up today. Be with me, Lord. Be with me, Lord, today." So Heather says, "I hope we don't die, but then we can trauma bond and strengthen our friendships." There's a terse hello with Brittany and Mary. Like, Brittany's like, "Hey, Mary. Hello. How are you?" "Good. I'm good. Thank you." And Mary goes, "Good. Stay that way. I hope you're good. Stay that way." Um, Meredith is not going to do this. Meredith is not doing this. She says, "It's not the outfit. I've got tennis elbow from churning too much butter." And we flash back to 10 months earlier with the butter. And Lisa goes, "I thought you were gonna say something else. I thought you were gonna say you were jacking off Seth Marks." Hey, hey, I would love that, huh? I'm in Columbus. Oh, I'd love to take credit for Meredith's tennis elbow. You know what I'm saying? Meredith goes, "I mean, Seth would be so happy if I were talking in code." So Lisa goes, "I guess I'm gonna be super active today, actively avoiding Angie and Whitney and actively surviving this ropes course." Angie says, It's bad when you're more excited to see Meredith than Lisa." So this is the strong friend group that we're talking about. They're all just talking shit about each other all the time. And Angie's, I think, talking to Whitney, going, "This is what I'm talking about." With Lisa, it's like an automatic, just say hi and be nice. I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable. It's just awkward. And Mary goes, "It made my lips chapped. I need some chapstick after that." And Angie goes, "Put your chapstick." Yeah, Mary, put your chapstick on. That's the other thing everybody does with Mary, especially Meredith. They would let like just Mary just say bizarre things. "I need to put some chapstick on. I need some chapstick." And they'll be like, "Yeah, Mary, put some chapstick." They're always encouraging her. "Yeah, put it on. Lather that chapstick." "Yeah, Mary. Good. We should all put chapstick on. Let's all." Mary had a good idea with the chapstick. Come on, let's do it. This also reminds me, you guys, I was having a flashback of a ropes course from the Real Housewives of Orange County episode, and it reminded me back in the day, Danny Pellegrino, the icon, king, legend, Danny Pellegrino, everything iconic and everything else. This man is killing it. I was talking on the Patreon this weekend. I would say there is so many people to look up to in this industry, but I just got to say how much I don't know. Danny Pellegrino is just one of those people, and he just like he's in a Hallmark movie that he wrote because he fucking loves Hallmark movies. Like go towards what you love, do what you love, and I mean, there's just so many inspirational messages in Danny's career to me. But I remember back in the day when he was doing his podcast before I had this podcast, and he invited a bunch of people. I think there was like 15 of us or 20 or so to the ropes course in OC. So we all did the same ropes course that the OC ladies did, and it was insane. I was going back and looking at the video. It was like 2018, and I was looking at the pictures in the video from that day because I was like, do I? And I do. And it was crazy. And I think I was the first to go. So I was like having to go really fast and it was really scary. And I was trying to not act like I was scared, but I was like, hey. And it was crazy, this ropes course. And then afterwards, because we did this in the OC, we went to the Quiet Woman and we all had dinner there and drinks. And I remember Kate Casey came and met us. It was Danny and his boyfriend, or his, yeah, they were there. And then Emily and Gina was there for a season, and they came and met us. And then Shannon Bedore randomly came in with a guy, I think that she was hanging out with or seeing at the time, a guy in between Johnny J and David. And she didn't know that Emily and Gina were going to be there. It was their first season. And I think they were still in this kind of they didn't really like each other that much, or that's the vibe I was getting from that night. But I got to tell you, that day and night was magical. I remember having the time of my life. We ended that night. Like they played Mr. Jones at the very end of the night. And you know me and my relationship with Counting Crows. And me, Danny, and his dude, and a bunch of we were all just dancing. And the Quiet Woman is not a big place. And it was just one of those moments that I look back and I'm always so fond of that memory. Anyways, the ladies get up on this ropes course, even Mary, and Mary's immediately like, I don't think I like this. I don't think I like this. Um, they're all going across. Brittany gets across. Um, Mary's being encouraging to Lisa, and Lisa's like, "Thank you, Mary, for being so encouraging." And Mary's like, "We're almost there. We're almost there. Take another step, sis. Do it. Do it." So all the ladies are making it across. And Whitney's like, "This is what a hand job feels like. Just do it like a hand job." And Heather goes, "That's disgusting. Focus on the task, you perv. There's young kids here working," Heather says. A lot of kids quit that day. And then a producer asked Whitney, "Why would your hands above your head be like giving a hand job?" And Whitney's like, "I guess it'd be like hiding under a desk," which I mean, I've done a time or two. Uh, Which by the way, didn't Whitney meet her husband at her job? I I like the normalization of desk hand jobs of somebody under a desk where in the hand job, the man is standing up. And sorry, this is probably something that's disgusting. But somebody somebody hiding under the desk, giving a standing man hand job. And Whitney's like, "I've done that." It's not even funny. It's not even oh, sorry. Guys, this isn't I know it's usually a family show, not today. But Mary's like, "I can't even do this. I can't even my hands hurt. My hands hurt." And then Lisa's at this one, she's like, "I can't do this. I need someone to come get me, please." And so Heather's on her and everybody's having trouble with this ropes course. They finally get Lisa to the ground. Um, Heather's not doing well. Brittany does good. Bronwyn makes a joke about Brittany up there. Maylee's coming down on the rope, and Mary goes, "I thought Maylee was way thinner than that." Mary fucking Cosby, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. Anyways, Angie finally gets down and says, "God bless the ground of America." Heather gets down and says she wants to kiss the earth. Ground, I love you. Okay, so then there's a food truck. They all get to order. Lisa's like, "I'll try the molita, 2 chicken tacos, and a hot chocolate." Um, and then Mary goes, "Can I get the quesadilla, but can I get it with bean and cheese?" I love that Mary doesn't know how to say quesadilla, a quesadilla. And then and no, Angie goes, "I should have gotten a quesadilla. That sounds good." And I was like, "Oh my god, Angie, you should have mispronounced it too, so Mary didn't take offense to you saying it the correct way." And then Mary goes, "I need to take a note." Mary goes, "I hope I don't need to take a number 2. I hope nobody heard me." So they all sit down and Lisa goes, "Mary is so funny today. She's on one and I love it. So funny. All the stuff about taking a shit. I love it." Lisa goes, "I have never heard the word sis more than I have today." And Mary goes, "Is it me?" And Lisa's like, "No, it's everybody." And Mary goes, "I say sis a lot." And Lisa's like, "It's like sis, sis, sis." And then we flash back to Maley and we have a sis counter. And it is Maley saying "sis" the whole time. She does say it a lot. "Sis, sis, sis, sis." And then Brittany stands up and goes, "Hey, guys, I just wanna make a toast. Ting, 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 ting. Ting, 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 ting." You can already tell Mary's like, "Fuck." Brittany's like, "All right, talkers, for those of you who know, like, my relationship drama has been, like, on again, off again, and so last night, Jared Osmond took me out, and we bought matching jewelry at Louis Vuitton, and then he officially asked me to be his girlfriend." Okay, I am so fucking confused. So they were dating for 7 months, but he never asked to be girlfriend. They were just lightly dating, but then they also broke up 7 times, but they weren't boyfriend and girlfriend until last night? But everybody's like, "Oh my gosh." And Meredith kind of smirks like, "Okay." And Brittany goes, "And he made it Instagram official," which doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is a huge deal because he's never posted about anyone ever. And then Bronwyn hops in and she goes, "Well, but the Instagram I saw, it said my best friend, and you guys were at Costco." And we see this post, and it says, "Sometimes you just have to push your best friend around Costco," with a crying, laughing emoji. And Brittany Bateman is in like where you put your kids in that part of the shopping cart, and he's standing like, "Huh, look at me. I'm buying a girl at Costco." So first off, Bronwyn, come on, you lost me at making fun of Costco. Like you were even you just kind of like Costco, like I'm like, sorry, that's where Diddy buys his 1,000 bottles of lube. That's alleged, by the way. But there will be no Costco slander in this household. Um, but Bronwyn immediately is like, no, he said best friend, and we see the post. And Bronwyn goes, "I'm not giving up anything to go to a man with Costco." And then Heather goes, "Nobody's going to take any shine away from Costco. Certainly not me." Heather trying to stay on the right side of history. And she's like, well, a Costco cart has a meaning to a lot of people. And certainly in my life, I don't think it's the declaration of love that most young girls are looking for. But you never know. And so they're all like, my best friend at Costco was the big gesture. And then Lisa pulls up the post, and Lisa's like, "Oh, wait, is this the post? You're not official. You're not official. No. John took me to a Wendy's, and he fucking said, 'Girlfriend, you can read it in the post.'" But Lisa then continues, she goes, "Brittany, you're not official." And Brittany goes, "I want you to be happy for me." And Mary goes, "I'm just trying to figure out why do we care?" And Brittany goes, "Mary, rude. Rude, Mary." And Mary still has that yellow hoodie on, the hoodie scarf. And I was trying to figure out, and I'm still, and this is the closest I get to what it kind of reminds me of. And I want to point out Lindsay Lohan is doing amazing. They just finished filming Freaky Friday 2 with Jamie Lee Curtis. She looks amazing, doing amazing, a new mom. But back in the day when Lindsay, was a troubled youth, we were all watching that. Do you remember that one photo of her in the car seat passed out with the gray hoodie over her head? That is the closest I can get to like what the vibe Mary is going with, where it's not anywhere near close or accurate, but it's the only thing I can co like, what who can do one better? What else does this remind you of? It's something. I know there's something. So we go to commercial, we come back, we see that girlfriend line again, "I want you to be happy for me. Why do we care?" Mary, rude. And Mary immediately goes, "Like you were the other night." And Brittany goes, "You were so rude to me the other night." "I was not rude." "You were so rude, Mary." And Mary goes, "I don't even know rude. You said you identified me with poor, Brittany." "I never called you poor, Mary." "Yes, you did." Brittany says, "I don't have any idea how you grew up." "You don't? I don't care about you and your boyfriend, Brittany. Like, I don't know why the heck you announced it. I don't care." And Brittany goes, "That is so rude." And then Barry goes, "I don't think most of us care." And Brittany goes, "Isn't this a group of friends?" And that's where Brittany got it wrong. No, this is the Housewives. And Mary goes, I don't know. I don't even know you." Mary goes, "I don't know. I don't even know you." And Heather goes, "Well, are you not open to learning anything about Brittany, Mary?" And Brittany goes, "Do you want me to care about you and what you're doing?" And Mary goes, "I didn't ask you to. I didn't have an announcement." Lisa, Lisa goes, "Brittany, I would be worried about this photo." And Brittany goes, "Talk to me. I feel like Jared's working you over a little bit." And Brittany's like, "Do you really?" And then Whitney goes, "I've gone to dinner with you and Jared. I've never met someone quite like Jared. He seems like a politician to me." She says this in a talking head. "You are really into him, Brittany. I see that he cares for you, but the concern that Lisa shares, my friend Lisa from the Bezos party, I share as well because he should be claiming you as his girlfriend, not but he should be claiming you as his property, not his best friend. You're happy with that? You're fine with that?" Everybody goes, "No, I'm not fine." Like, everybody goes, "No, I'm not. It's all right. God, you guys got me. You got no, I'm not fine with that. It hurts my feelings." So last night I thought I was so excited to do this toast because I felt like, I don't know, it's a huge step for us. Oh, this made like breaks your heart. Like I was excited. I was excited last night to do this toast today because he put me in a shopping cart at Costco. Oh, man, like, you do feel bad. She's like, "Sorry, I'm emotional," and starts tearing up. And he goes, "There's a lot going on in Brittany's life with her kids and her ex and pickleball and just trying to figure it out. It's a little bit chaotic, and she's working on repairing her relationships with her nuclear family." And Lisa's like, "Wait, what are the issues with your family? What happened with your family?" And Brittany's like, "I have huge, like, personal issues because neither daughter will talk to me." And Lisa goes, "Why?" And when he goes, "Why?" Ugh, it's so complicated, you guys, and it's really, really personal. And here it goes. "But you trust us about your boyfriend." Everybody goes, "You just told me you don't like me or didn't want anything to do with me." Mary goes, "I didn't say that." And Mary goes, "I don't want to share my personal details with you, Mary." And Mary goes, "You're very difficult. You need some soul searching, babe." And then Bronwyn goes, "Mary's not wrong. Mary's not wrong. You need some soul searching pronto." And Brittany goes, "I'm kind." And Mary goes, "If you're kind, why can't you make amends with your children?" Ooh. And she has that hood up and it's like all uneven on her hair. And Mary goes in a talking head, kind of a little bit of a trigger for me. Like it just reminds me of my mom. My mom, like she cared about having a man, but she forgot she had 5 kids at home. Uh-oh. And those 5 kids at home was not even fed. We were running loose. We had no disciplinarian. We had no roles in a purse. We had nobody watching over us. We didn't even feel like we were loved. Okay. Now I know we all like Mary says batshit things, but right here, you got if you can parse this out, this okay. This is why Mary is Mary. We're getting some details here. 5 kids running around. She wasn't there. Like this is real. This is real. This is Mary. Wow. And Mary continues in a talking head. She says, "It hurts me to my core. I would never, ever do that to my son. Ever." Wow. Brittany in the scene goes, "Oh, you have no idea what you're talking about, Mary. You just shut up, Mary." And then Mary goes, "Shut me up. Shut me up." Brittany goes, "You cannot hit that so below the belt. You make me shut up," Mary says. And Brittany goes, "Don't you ever, ever bring up my kids ever again. Don't you put your finger in my face. You shut up. How about that? You just shut up, Brittany." Brittany goes, "I'm not attacking you as a mom. There cannot be anything lower or meaner than that." Like that, Brittany says, "I think anyone that mom shames should be ashamed of themselves." I will say, mark this scene, you guys, because when what happens with Mary and her son, it will be interesting to see who says what, or if they all show full support for Mary. I hope they do, but that's not the history of Housewives. And he's like, "Don't you ever bring up my kids ever again, because you know nothing." And Lisa goes, "This is going a little too far." I mean, it is, but it's not nearly as far as the Bezos party. And Mary goes, "No, it's not. No, it's not. It ain't going far enough. It's not going far enough." She's talking about you shut up. Heather goes, "Everyone show Brittany some respect. If you respect me, honestly." Heather putting her name on the line right here. And Bravo goes, "I'd like to learn something about Brittany that didn't feel unhinged." That's how I feel about Brittany again. And Brittany's like, "Excuse me?" And Bravo goes, "Everything I've learned about you so far feels chaotic AF." Brittany goes, "I'm sorry. Why is that? You're on again, you're off, you're in a Costco cart, you called her poor, you called me a hoarder. So all I know about you is the and you came in there hot and wild. I'm sorry, you did." And Brittany goes, "Hot and wild?" And Mary goes, "Yeah." I mean, I really didn't see it as hot and wild. She sat down and go, You guys are in some beautiful costumes." Heather says, "I feel like I've dragged Brittany, this baby deer, in front of all these wolves, and she's clearly not up for the fight. And it's not war." So I'm almost like, does Brittany back out of the season because it's just too much? Because if it's this much Brittany in the first 2 episodes, where do we go from here? And Heather's like, "They don't know anything about this woman yet." This feels like she is getting kicked into the teeth, and I hate it. Which almost is kinda like Whitney from last week's episode at the end, but this time it's on Brittany. So Brittany's getting the brunt of this episode. Or is it? We still have a couple of minutes to go. Bronwyn goes, "At a certain place, all these words matter, and you've got to get in the mix of what the words mean. Yes, you've got to get in the mix." And Brittany's like, "Girl, get your words tight. I know you don't like me saying that, but it's true." And Heather goes, "I don't like you say that because if we want to get our words in order, you're going to need to get your words in order with all of this group because you have been giving everybody a different story." That's the Bronwyn. So Heather's like, "Oh, Bronwyn, I see what you've been doing." So it's intense music. Da, da, what's going on? And Heather goes, "Well, because I went with Whitney and she said, Bronwyn, you were supportive of her, but on our Wendy's drive with Lisa at Wendy's, where you can get the best burger and fries and Frosties, wink, you were team fucking Lisa. And you were saying horrible things about Whitney." And there's tense music. And Whitney's like, "What?" And Maylee's like, "Are you serious?" Which would have been a great I wish Maylee would have been, "Sis? Sis?" And it's just like shots of all their faces. We go to commercial, we come back, and everybody's still like, "What?" When he's like, "What'd you say?" And Heather goes, "That made me feel like you were being two-faced with Lisa and me and two-faced to Whitney." And when he's like, "What did she say about me?" And Heather goes, "Talking about when you said, 'This is a Hild Whitney,' and flipping this off, and you said you had tears of laughter crying from your eyes." And Bronwyn goes, "Yes, I said I laughed at this girl, and I did tell that to Whitney as well." Whitney goes, "Truly, if that's all Bronwyn said, she's admitted it to my face." And we flash back to her saying this to Whitney going, "Hey, I'm not saying you were wrong. It was quite a moment to be like, 'Do you want to meet the healed me? I wonder if we practice this in a mirror at home.'" Because he was like, and Whitney goes, "I don't even know where it came from, to tell you the truth, Bronwyn." But in that one, she said it was iconic. So, I mean, listen, she did say it to Whitney. So Whitney goes, "I really don't think Heather's energy matches what actually happened." Bronwyn says, "Lisa, is all this being conflated into one conversation?" And Heather goes, "I'm not conflating anything." And Whitney goes, "The way that you're saying it is really messing and confusing." And Heather goes, "When you said to Bronwyn met with me and she was totally supportive, I said, really, that surprises me. Because of the lunch we went to, and you were in that lunch, Lisa. I left that car feeling like everything you said." And by the way, Meredith is right next to Heather, just laughing, going, "Bath bombs." And Heather's like, "I felt it was a little bit poisonous, especially about Whitney, especially about Maylee." And to find out, and Brian goes, "Wait, did you leave the car feeling that way, Lisa?" And Lisa goes, "I think you have a different way of speaking. Like, I understand the way she talks, Heather." And Heather goes, "So you left that lunch thinking she liked Maylee." and Whitney and wanted to reach out to them and go to lunch with them. And Angie goes, "Well, maybe Bronwyn got to know Whitney and hear a little bit more about herself, you know, and then everyone's entitled to have a change of heart after they hear another side," Angie says. And Lisa goes, "Yeah, we can all have changes of heart." And Heather goes, of course, but like, listen." And Angie goes, I can be friends with Whitney." And Heather goes, "Bronwyn feels very strong about Brittany's owning her words." Meredith still laughing to the side of Heather. And Heather goes, "And I'm like, let's all own our words." And this is what's so like, this is what I said last week. This is old, reminds me of old Roni when they just all talk over each other and fight. I love it. And Bronwyn goes, "But you're not saying let's own all our words." And Heather goes, "I am." And Bronwyn goes, "You're saying I should own my words. Everybody has said something." Bronwyn says, "I don't understand where Heather is coming from because I was not doing a monologue at an open mic night. I was not for Lisa and Heather. So I'm surprised it's being used against me when I don't think anyone disagreed with my opinion." And Lisa goes, "It was a communal conversation. And Bronwyn, you were snarky about it too." And Bronwyn goes, "That's what I'm telling her. Stop yelling." And Lisa goes, "I'm not yelling. Tin roof rusted. It's still the way I talk." Bronwyn says, "Despite knowing Lisa for 7 or 8 years now, I'm just so surprised that she has nothing to say to defend me. I was not the only bitch in the car." Okay, there was four bitches because my dog, Freddie, was there too. And we flash back to the dog. "It is not helpful, Lisa. Thanks for making it worse, not better." And Lisa goes, Whitney goes, "At a basic human level, if someone's being vulnerable and telling you their trauma, do not weaponize it to hurt them." And then this is when Lisa goes, "I am not weaponizing." And Heather goes, "I'm not weaponizing either." And Heather, "Who are you saying this to?" And Lisa's like, "Oh, nobody's weaponizing." And when he goes, "I'm saying as a group of friends, we need to be better about that. You all steamrolled me." And when Lisa's like, "No, we did not steamroll you. We're not going to use the word steamroll because you know what steamrolling is? Going on a podcast and talking about your fucking friends when they can't defend themselves. That's a steamroll. Going on Nick Vialli's podcast. I haven't done anything to you. The podcast, my intention, Lisa, was not to hurt you. I'm sorry that you're receiving that way, but I also need you to understand that there's a reason I was provoked to say those things and feel this way. Nick Vialli made me do it." Lisa goes, "All you do is talk in feelings. Start talking in facts, and then we can have a good conversation. The fact is that you've been a shitty friend, though, Lisa." And then Lisa goes, "You're a shitty friend. You're a shitty friend. Where are all your calls? Where are all your messages? Where are you inviting me to things?" And then Meredith goes, "May I interject here? Man, lis" and Lisa's like, "Listen, you bonded with them over your hatred of me, and you're getting busted. You take out things on me that have nothing to do with me." And Meredith goes, "And I feel the same. I feel the same. I'll be totally honest." And Whitney, like, not even breaking a sweat, she's like, "Oh, I'm clear. I'm totally clear. I'm sorry that I talked about you on the podcast." And Lisa goes, "Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the apology. It doesn't take away from the fact that we still have issues." Meredith goes, "Would I also like an apology from Whitney?" Of course. Is it surprising me that I'm not getting one right now? No, not at all. Wait, what are we for the bath bombs or the few what? This is insane. Nobody's doing it like Salt. I mean, OC is amazing, but Salt Lake is, like, bizarre amazing. When he goes, "I think that everyone at this table is amazing. I'm glad today happened. I feel like there's still lots of things that need to be resolved, but I'm comfortable to invite all of you to my next drag show." You would not you would think in a million years they all started yelling at Whitney, and then it stops, and Whitney goes, "I'm comfortable enough to invite you to my next action." And and there's like a tepid like, "Whoo, yeah, all right." And Whitney goes, "Chicks, Chicks, Trixie booked me to host a drag night at her event in Milwaukee." And Brittany goes, "Oh my goodness, Milwaukee. Wow." And Angie goes, "Milwaukee? Beautiful Delaware." And Manly goes, "Where?" Milwaukee, Milwaukee. And then Mary goes, "That's where my dad is from, even though he's in heaven." Yes, yes. He is from I've never been. "I would love for all of you just to come on my girls' trip to be together and continue the bonding that we've had. I've booked a private jet." There's like tepid, "Woo!" And Heather is like slamming on she goes, "Whitney Rose, Trixie Rose." And Lisa just doesn't seem to be having any of this. Whitney goes, "I did some research, and there is a bathtub." And then Meredith goes, "I'm not sure if I can make it, but we'll discuss that later." Ooh, that bathtub jab. How fucking dare you, Whitney? You talk about beautiful Milwaukee, and then you make a joke about bathtubs. Not the time or the place. And then it's just awkward. Everybody's looking. And Meredith goes, "It's not that I don't want to go to Milwaukee. I mean, who doesn't want to go to Milwaukee? I mean, who would wanna go to Milwaukee in the middle of the winter?" And Heather goes, "Meredith, there's a bathtub. You have to come." And they're talking to Meredith goes, "It's that I don't necessarily want to go with Milwaukee with Whitney." And then Whitney, in a sarcastic voice, goes, "I might not be going." By the way, look at Whitney doing Meredith's voice. Hell yeah, Whitney. And then Whitney goes, "Good. I hope you don't." And then Angie goes in the scene, she goes, "It's getting dark and cold. Let's go." And when he goes, "We have 2 solid days together to talk about it." And Lisa goes, "I hope there's housekeeping. If these bitches can't get themselves together for 2 days, then we have way bigger problems." And then Angie goes, "I'll see you in Milwaukee, bitch, next time on The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City." And we see them going on the private plane to Milwaukee, and they're gambling. There's like a casino involved. They're going to a suite at the Bucks game. I hope there's not any kind of jazz jokes about Lisa Barlow because that's going to set her off. Everybody's screaming. Heather makes a joke about Angie being Greek. And then Brittany has a scene asking Lisa about Jack, and she says that Jack's having health problems. And then Meredith has a scene at the casino, it looks like with Heather, where Meredith goes, "They're saying Whitney's using designs and selling to 10 to 20 times the price." Which is so funny because Meredith was like, "No, I don't get involved in any" like, remember when she was accused of spreading all that information about Angie last season? But Meredith always does seem to have all of this business information on these other ladies. So it is a weird pattern to look at, and I mean, God, I love all of these people. Anyways, you guys, way too long of a recap. That's what I do. There's nothing small here, you guys. Uh Except well, anyways, you guys, what a fabulous episode. Thank you for hanging around the whole time. If you did, wasn't that Tamara interview crazy? Who would have thunk it? And remember, Saturday we'll do the Real Housewives of Orange County recap, and we'll talk all about that interview as well, the behind the scenes. And hope you guys have the great start to your weekend. I love you. Thank you for supporting me. If you think about it, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And then tomorrow I'm doing a Patreon episode about Vanderpump. Did a Q&A last weekend, and we did the Patreon live this weekend, which you can see as well, even though it's not live anymore. And that's it, you guys. Have the best start to the weekend ever. Bye.